Was there any condition in which you would have kept playing this next season?
Only one condition. I'm not sure if I can say it.
Okay.
I'll keep it to myself. There was one condition, but
was it winning the major?
No. I feel like if we won the major, I would have just fucking retired.
Really? Wow. Okay.
That was a bit over exaggerated, but yeah. I mean, no, there wasn't a lot of conditions that could have made me stay.
Okay.
Sell in-game items at the best prices in just a couple of clicks. We are the biggest instant sell service for in-game items like Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, and Rust. Easy selling process and instant withdrawal of funds to the most popular payment methods. More than 140,000 deals and 50,000 active sellers every month. Use promo code HLTV5 and get a 5% bonus on the sale of your skins. Skin Place. Sell items now.
When every move counts, your chair shouldn't hold you back. Top esports players are switching to Anthros for unbeatable support and performance that keeps them in the game longer. Designed to support your unique shape and built with medical-grade components, Anthros is setting a new standard for comfort. Check out the Anthros difference today and get ready to fix your sit, because gaming deserves more than just a chair.
Welcome back to another episode of HLTV Confirmed. No prof this week, but we do have Striker and just sliding into frame, JL. JL, hello. Very pink today, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm matching.
Did you take the singlet off, or did the shirt just go on?
I took it off. Okay. It was a bit sweaty. I was doing some work.
Yeah, fair. Like garden work?
No, I was changing the wheels on my car.
Oh, okay. Oh. Look at that. Would you take winter tires off us, like, mate? We're pretty deep in summer.
No. I was getting some 17 inches 205s on my drift car. So
of course, yes.
You gotta fit the street requirements. Street, as in that's a tier of competition.
I think we just learned something about you, that you like to drift. Is that
not yet? I don't like it yet. I'm just preparing the car, but we're going tomorrow. First drift.
Did you not listen to his video?
No, I'll be honest. I saw that he retired and went, this is sad. And I also had a conversation with JL a little bit during the major. So I already had a rough idea of what the man was thinking. But hold up, before we get into that, before we get into all those things, we need to thank the sponsors. That's Anthros. I'm sitting on a nice white Anthros chair. I know you can't see it. It's not a big one. It's a little one. But if you need a new chair, head over to Anthros. Also, we've got Skin Place, which you can now buy and sell. Before they would just sell, but now you can buy. So head over to Skin Place, check them out. That's the sponsors. This is HLTV Confirmed. I'm Chad. That's Milan. I said it like the place. Is it like the place?
It's close enough.
And this is the thing. I want to call you Justin Leviticus.
Yeah, close enough.
I feel like that's how the West would say your name. And
but you would say it you wouldn't say it as a J, right? You would say it as a U.
Yes, Justinas.
There you go.
Okay, see, I was pretty close, right? That's not bad.
And the last name is Lekavicius, but close enough.
Yeah, okay. You asked it a lot of me now.
As long as it starts with an L.
Fuck, that's my whole career, mate, starting with an L. All right, look, Joe, we got you here today, straight off the presses, right? If people haven't been covering the news, you've stepped away from NAVI for a period of time. And we've had makazze come in. We've had a lot of conversation about the rosters, who was going, who was coming in. You had your wedding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I guess, did you have a honeymoon as well?
Yes, a week. It could have been more, but I wasn't sure how it's going. So I planned the honeymoon like 4 months ago. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess let's get into this then, shall we? Because the decision to have you step away, a lot of people see that coming, and well, no, they don't see it coming. When they see it come out, they're like, "What the fuck's happening here?" This guy, he's won a major. He's major MVP. He's been on the top of our screens for the last couple of years. But before that, before Paris, people were like, "Who's JL?" So you've only had a couple years, and now you've decided to take a bit of a break. So you want to give everyone a bit of an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, Tier 1 requires a lot of sacrifice, like a lot of hours. If you actually want to be the best, or one of the best at least, I don't know, 12 hours per day. And if you're not doing 12 hours a day, you're doing something wrong, and you're not on top of your game. And yeah, I just wanted to live a little. I want to try drifting. I want to try out content creation 100%. I want to spend time with my wife. I want to make a family. And yeah, those are the main things. I'm slowly getting to them, but I can do in life.
So I think for a lot of people, when they hear this, they go, "But he's got the dream job. You know, he plays Counter-Strike for a living. He does all these things." I think that's one of the things that goes maybe under discussed, because we don't hear from pros going, "Yeah, it is actually quite tough. It is such a huge amount of time and dedication to put out there." Because I think people look at it and they go, "Oh, you know, look at this this guy's got everything in the world. It's what I want to do." But when you're in it, it's nonstop. You're traveling all the time. You're away from home. It's hard to have a routine. There's a lot of things, right? That's the sacrifice and the choice that you make when you want to do something like this. So I think, like, how old are you now? 25?
Yeah, 25.
So like, this is a question I was thinking about to ask you today. When was there any condition in which you would have kept playing this next season?
There was only one condition. I'm not sure if I can say it.
Okay.
I'll keep it to myself. There was one condition, but
was it winning the major?
No. I feel like if we won the major, I would have just fucking retired.
Really? Wow. Okay.
That was a bit over exaggerated, but yeah. I mean, no, there wasn't a lot of conditions that could have made me stay.
Okay. So was it before the major that you made up your mind? Was it during? Was it earlier in the year? You know, because you said in your videos, like you said, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Like, it's not we don't know what the future holds for you, right? You've kind of put an ambiguous time on it.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of things I actually want to try out. And if I do try them out and I don't see myself in this life, I can not always come back to CS, but I can always put in the hours because I'm still young. I still have good mechanical skills, and if I just put in more hours, I can come back for sure. So that's kind of a safe plan B, so to say. So, but I'm not focusing on that. I'm just focusing on living life right now. I want to go do kickboxing. Of course, it's one step at a time. Right now, I'm focused on drifting and content creation. Then I'll add in kickboxing, gym, all that stuff. I don't want to make myself too busy because I'm trying to avoid that.
You're saying it in such a crazy way to me. You know, you come away from this grind of CS. It's like, I can't put in the 12 hours anymore, and now you're like, yeah, but now I have to go step by step. I'll put in 12 hours in drifting. You know, I'll put in 12 hours in kickboxing. Or
4 hours of drifting I can dedicate every single day.
4 hours of drifting every day.
No, okay, drifting.
Mate, you'll be spending a lot on tires. Fucking hell.
Yes, that's true, but it's not gonna be drifting on track. Sim racing is also very good training for drifting. So I ordered myself a sim rig. As soon as I move out of this place, I have a plan. I want to make okay, hear me out. I didn't tell this my wife yet because she was busy. So she's gonna hear it on this podcast. But there's a place in Lithuania where they rent out garages, and on top of it is an office, like a space for you to live in. So I'm gonna get myself a garage, an office on the top, maybe put my streaming gear, filming gear, sim rig, and then I have my car under me. I can stock tires. I can do everything. It's dream place for a man, for real.
You're making a man cave.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's every man's dream.
Let's see how that goes by with the wife. You know, we'll find out.
I mean, she's right next to me. Maybe she didn't hear it well enough. We're gonna have a talk after.
Sounds like some grand plans. Okay, cool. Strike, you got any questions for the man?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Just because, like, when I was listening to a video, right, and like when I was listening to you now, even I keep getting this vibe from you that there's a good chance that in 6 months' time you're going to be like, fuck it, I would just rather do this, and you're going to focus on not a pro career, you know? So do you foresee that as a possibility?
Oh yeah, of course it's a possibility. That's why there's no time limit. I mean, I'm still contracted to NAVI, so either way I cannot go and do my own thing. So yeah, it's a possibility. I just want to try myself out because I feel like I've missed a lot of life that I could have lived if I wasn't playing pro. But of course, this earned me a lot of money, a lot of discipline and responsibility. So it's a good lesson. But I feel like there's more to life than being a pro. And for me, it's not all about trophies. For me, it was the road with my teammates to getting trophies, to overcoming challenges that we faced. And it's about growth. And I feel like for the time being, I don't see myself growing more while playing in a pro team, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, there's not a lot of time for anything outside of that, you know, if you're doing that stuff. So that's 100% understandable. It's more like how it comes off, right? Like you kind of retire. Let's not retire. Like you announce a break early in a career, you know, like and for people to think that, like, let's say 2 years in tier 1 or 3 years in tier 1, if you want to include the time just before that, it's kind of a quick.
Oh yeah, it's not a lot. I'll probably be forgotten if I don't play anymore. I'll probably be forgotten in 3 years, but it doesn't matter. For me, it's not about the legacy or what you leave behind yourself. I feel like while I was playing, people enjoyed it. People liked seeing me on stage. People liked interacting with me. And now that I'm gone, there will be someone else to replace me. And I never tried to create a legacy or leave something behind me that people were like, oh, he was one of the best riflers of all time. I never had this goal. And yeah, for me, it's all about growth and improving as a person, as a player. And of course, there was a lot of aspects to improve on being a player. But I feel like it's not going to help me in the future in that scenario.
So here's a question about that then. It's almost like the opposite of what I thought we would be talking about here. What would bring you back to being a pro player in 6 months' time?
Honestly, this is going to be could sound off a little bit rough, but if I had the correct guys around me, and I was ready to sacrifice my life for them, that would bring me back, because I would have to know they're team players and they're not just playing for themselves. It's not about their individual accolades. It's about being a team. So somewhere in the future, or maybe even now, later, doesn't matter. If there was a group of 5 Lithuanians and we could get a coach, or doesn't matter, because Lithuanians speak English, we could have an English-speaking coach. Of course, that's a little rough. We'll get into details. But for those 4 people, if they really wanted to try and get big, I would sacrifice my life and my time to being a better player as myself and improving them. Because I know there's a lot of Lithuanians who lack experience, and I would try to give it my best. But I would have to know that they're there for, not for a good time, but actually winning as a team.
The right reasons.
Yes.
If you were still winning with NAVI today, if you guys were having more of a successful season and you're winning more trophies, do you think you still would have taken the time away?
Good question. Because when you're losing, it's easy to get into the negative spiral of your thoughts. But I don't know. I actually thought about taking a break in 2024. So I would probably still think about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? Because as soon as you're losing, all the times are tougher. Like it fucking sucks. Like that's one of the worst things, because you never know how to get out of that pit. You know, you're trying so much, everyone's practicing, you're giving it a go, and nothing really seems to be changing. That's kind of what it felt like with NAVI down the last stretch. Even Blade in the interview saying, you know, it's not I forget the exact quote that he had, but it was like there would be, if someone got replaced, the blame's not like solely on them, right? So it kind of feels like with NAVI, you guys were, I think in hindsight, I would frame it as playoff gatekeepers, right? Like if a team could get past you, then they could get to the playoffs. Right? You guys would be there too. But if a team really wanted to get there, they'd have to get past a team like of a NAVI caliber. So yeah, a lot's happened in the last, because you think about it, what's it been? It's been a year. You won the major last year.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a lot has happened in a year. There was the whole from out of nowhere winning the major. Then, you know, the next 6 months had some highlights and some lowlights. And then the last 6 months have probably been, I guess, the roughest, because you haven't been able to find the same success that you guys had found before. So from your perspective, what are you chalking that up to?
I feel like it's okay. I've been trained. Actually, how should I phrase it? But like we didn't work enough. We worked. I'm 100% sure we worked more than, at least on the game, we worked more than any other team, for sure. We put a lot of hours, but I think we missed. There's more to the game than just knowing the strats, knowing the game, being in form. There is also the human aspect to your game. And if the team is not clicking, it's not clicking. No matter how good you know CS, no matter how good your strats are. And I feel like it's up to the person to sacrifice a piece of himself for the team. And I feel like after doing so much winning, we weren't ready to do those sacrifices.
You're talking like the social game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's one of the hardest things and one of the hardest things to talk about from like a analyst desk or a pundit perspective when we're doing a podcast, because it's like that's why people tend to just default towards stats, because it's really quite difficult to talk about the social side of the team because we never get into that level. We can see how people react in the server, or you get some of those comm snippets, or you get the body language, but you don't really get the deep dive into how it's working interpersonally, you know, and that's probably good and bad, I guess. But this is why I think it's for a lot of people listening at home that have a hard time trying to pinpoint the issues that you would have been seeing, because I guess a lot of them wouldn't have experienced those things. But yeah, at that top level, you need to have, it's more than just going in there and doing the X's and the O's, right? There needs to be that level of synergy with things. And that's a hard thing to curate, I think, right? It's either business, right? And everybody knows it's business and you're in suit and tie, or there's a bit of that camaraderie. When it's such a small team, Counter-Strike's only 5 people plus a coach, maybe plus the analyst, maybe plus the manager. It's maybe 10 people at most, right? And if the vibe's off there, I imagine that's tough to overcome.
It is, because you spend so much time together, and if the chemistry or the vibes are not there, it's really hard to spend 12 hours a day. Let's be honest. And yeah, once you start winning a little bit, the ego starts to grow a little bit. Maybe you don't sacrifice enough, or maybe you just start to not understand each other as you did previously. Maybe people change. It's a constant change in your character and your personality, and yeah, people can just stop clicking because one goes that way and the other goes that way. So,
like anything in life, for sure. Okay, well, look, that's in the past, at least for now. We'll see if we end up getting you back in the server. But you've mentioned drifting, you've mentioned content creation. You and I were having a chat at the back in Austin. I even brought up at one point like analyst desk stuff. Would you have any interest in doing that in the next 6 months? You want?
Oh yeah, of course.
Got to put yourself in the shop window here, mate. So you know what type of events you want to be doing. Cologne's right around the corner. I don't know if they can.
No chance. Cologne is too big for me, I guess. I mean,
you gotta start. Why not? Like, look, the event's around the corner, so that's probably the hard part. But I'm trying of that caliber. Why not? Well, you got your Blast Open Londons. You got your what else is coming up around the corner here? They're pretty sizable. Chengdu's in China. I don't think you'd want to fly there if you don't have to. You want something in Europe? Yeah.
There's EPL. I mean, that used to be an outlet for exactly that sort of stuff.
It's true, but it's a little bit long. I guess only 2.5 weeks these days. But there was some stuff down the stretch. So you would want to get on the desk, give it a go?
Oh yeah, of course. I feel like that's a challenge I'd like to overcome, because I do have a fear of public speaking.
Seriously?
Might be hard to believe it, but I have a lot of fear speaking in public. I was doing a speech at my wedding a couple of weeks ago. I was shitting my pants.
Bro, same. I just said that.
So bad. It's so bad. Even on the HLTV awards, I probably know every single person there. Okay, maybe there's plus ones I didn't know, but it's like the people that you spend a lot of time with. And I'm not even kidding. I didn't say like 70% of my lines. I memorized it. I did it in the mirror. It was perfect. Then I skipped one line. Then I skipped the other. Then I didn't thank someone. I'm like, fucking shit. I was praying to winning the highlight of the year so I could finish my speech because it was so good. But yeah, Donk had a very, very, very good highlight, so couldn't make it happen there.
I think for the record, I voted for you in first place. So just so the record show, I think one of the more
That's
impactful
the ancient
clips.
one, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think I voted. Anyway, I'm sure Nero can go and check the stats, see if I'm lying or not. Okay, so are you going to be playing? You going to be streaming Counter-Strike and stuff? Like, you going to be more of these challenges that you've been doing, or what type of CS? Like, you just going to be playing FACEIT, or what are we talking about here?
FACEIT. I feel like, playing FACEIT is good, but I feel like do not overcrowd myself. Overcrowd. What a word. Not make myself too busy or too focused on one thing. Okay. I feel like streaming challenges is probably the way to go, because that's a YouTube video and a stream. But if I streamed FACEIT and then I did this challenge on the side, that's more work.
Okay.
So, more work, as in, it's not like I'm shy of work, but I've got drifting to do, so I'll try. Yeah. So my goal is to make 2 videos per week. One is in real life content, so it's my drifting, I don't know, changing cars, whatever. And then number 2 is gaming stuff. I'm not sure how the community is going to react. My community, the GLCS2 subscribers. I'm not sure, but we'll see. It's not. I don't want to make it perfect. I just want to do what I want to do. I want to try it out.
Yeah. All right, people in chat are asking if you're going to co-stream matches of tournaments.
Yes. Okay. Cologne is. I already texted them. Emailed It wasn't me. It was my manager. I emailed them. Still no answer yet, but I hope they give me the rights too, because I want to stream the whole tournament from play-ins to groups to playoffs and finishing the whole tournament.
Okay. All right. Nice. Well,
Sounds like you have a lot going on, man.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Well, we'll see where you pop up. Now, look, we got you here for the evening. We're going to go through all things that have been happening. We didn't do a podcast last week. I had my parents coming to visit here in Malta, so we took some time off. So we got some stuff we got to catch up on. Before we knew that it was you, the player who was getting benched, at that point, last episode, Striker, I think we had already known that makazze was in the roster. Is that correct?
I can't remember exactly how it worked out, but I think we had a pretty good indication at least, yeah.
What we want to do now, JL, is that we may as well talk about this change.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this kid?
I mean, the things that I know are not very nice. I saw a tweet about him on Twitter. I didn't speak to him. I don't know much about him, but the only thing I know is that he shouted on some randoms and faced it. But that's all I know. I know he's a good player. I played against him many times. He's shooting very well. But other than that, I don't know much about him.
Where did you play against them? Like in
We
practices and stuff?
Yeah,
or-
we used to practice against NAVI Junior. It's good practice for them. And for us as well. They're shooting well. I feel like we lost majority of practice.
I was going to
But
say,
not
when
cap-
you said it's good practice for them, I was like, well, yeah, were you just owning them? Like, but no, you're saying that you had a tougher time against them.
Yeah, I feel like they played a lot more serious against us than they would against any other opponent. For them, it's like an official game. Because, we're playing the main team. Let's beat them and we'll get the insta promoted.
Yeah, okay.
Whole team. Might as well go with whole team.
Exactly.
I went and had a look at some of his positions and stuff, and some of them line up with yours, but then on other maps they line up with Imma's. So do you think they're going to have a tough time trying to solve that? Yeah. What do you think from your experience with the team? How are they going to go about solving those problems?
I have no insight, so it's going to be just purely my opinion. I feel like makazze is going to be taking most of my roles, and he's not going to be taking the map control, because I feel like it's going to be a good period of time for him to learn from Imma and then take over in the future.
Okay.
That's my opinion, because
That's an interesting foresight.
yeah, I mean, there's no inside information, so no shades towards NAVI. That's just my opinion, and because I've seen this before in some other teams, and I feel like that would be smart. And maybe then Imma goes to my roles, so they just switch her a little bit.
It would be on brand. You think about bits and the way that he was introduced into the roster. Obviously, you can't really do that anymore now because playing with a 6-man roster it's not as easy as it used to be.
A little harder.
But it could be that, yeah.
It could be. I mean, I saw a rumor they wanted to buy out Frozen. So
I heard the same rumor.
yeah, maybe that was to replace me. Actually, I don't know.
I mean, look,
Because Frozen is my roles.
if it was two people that would get replaced in terms of like replaceability, right? You have like Frozen would obviously be coming in your roles, and then
Yes.
makazze would be coming in Imma's roles, and then that makes it fairly simple one-to-ones, right?
I fucked it for them. My bad.
All right.
I have inside information coming in. I have to switch, get my jersey on, or else it's gonna be a.
You have to
We're
put
back.
your NAVI jersey. All right. While he
Yes,
does
sir.
that, we'll
That's
set
fine.
everybody up. So what we're going to do is when JL comes back, we're going to be doing the Skinionaire. We're going to be doing a quiz. So the quiz we've themed it this week. It's going to be around NAVI roster changes. So we've had Dimitri do that up, which means it's going to be a very difficult one. But everybody knows what to do in chat right now, whether you're in Kick or Twitch. Type skin place in chat at this very moment. This is going to be your opportunity to enter the raffle. Now, it's quite warm in my room, Striker. How are you doing over there, mate? Is it hot where you are?
AC, but it's getting kind of hot as well. I don't know.
Yeah, it's bloody. They got the
Always hot
sun
in
coming
front of-
straight in
front
the
of ring light
window.
and stuff as well.
That's true. The PCs are running. Okay, just a
Yeah.
quick shout out to someone said, "Where's Prof?" Prof's on a vacation this week.
He's
but
on the
I'm
beach
Prof
right now. Like, go look at his Twitter.
He's having a
and
good time.
All of you tell him to fuck off.
Yeah, well, he's taking a well-earned rest, All right, Joe, you missed this, but we're about to do Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to all the lovely people at home by Skin Plays. Now, these questions are about NAVI roster changes over history. We didn't do the question, Striker and I. So
I have seen it. I have seen the answers and stuff. I checked. So
You think it's
you should
difficult?
help him.
Oh, fuck. I don't know if I'm going to be a good help or
I would not say
not.
that. I would not say it's too difficult.
So I should help him, but it's not too difficult.
I mean, there are some that are going to be maybe tough, but overall not too bad.
I can't place this. Is it hard? Is it not hard? Anyway, let's find out. Let's get into this, all right? Question number one for Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to you by Skin Place. Oh, shit, the music's coming off of my mixer. That's going to have to play.
This is an old one, no? I don't think it's been updated, or am I crazy?
Has we ever won any CS2? Yeah, we
This
did
is
that
from
last time. Oh,
from last time.
dear.
Do we have it updated or no?
Oh, dear. Well, we might have a little bit of treading water to do, gentlemen. Lucas, do you have anything to say for yourself? Oh, he hasn't. He hasn't said. He hasn't said anything. Okay. All right. Wait. Hold up. Here he goes. Are we getting the? He's not. Lucas, you need to talk to me, man. You need to help me out here, man. You can't leave me in the dark.
There
Okay, here we go.
It's been updated, yeah.
Question number 1. Who of the following players had the longest stint on NAVI? JL, SDY, or Seized?
Oh shit. Okay. Wait. Has he been in Navi for a long time? That's the question.
He
I
was
know
there in the beginning once they moved away from the full 1.6 roster.
it's between me and him for sure.
The Seized was back with Kabakin. So how long would have Seized made it to? I feel like I saw Seized name in the server until like 2017.
Yeah, he's been there for a long time. Not a long time.
I'm not certain. How long were you in Navi for?
2 years.
You were in there for 2 years. I feel like Seized. I don't know. It was Kabakin, Seized. Was Zeus there? Still their striker? Oh wait, you know the answer. I think it was Seized. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling C's as well. Lock in.
All right, locking in CC's. Correct answer is. All right.
Yes.
He
How
was
long
there for
was
a very
it?
long time. I don't know the actual number, but I think it must be like somewhere close to 4 years now, because he was also there through the like change of in-game leadership when
That's true.
when
Starek thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like at that point, he was leaving like around just before that happened. So I think it must have been like close to 4 years, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a mild-mannered one to kick things off. Let's get into the next one. Question number 2.
Is it gonna get any harder?
I hope so. Who of the following players had spent the most time on Navi's roster? Guardian, Electronic, Simple, or Edward?
Has to be simple.
But is it a trick question?
Navi's roster. I mean,
Yeah, because Edward,
it's in the roster now.
who of the players had spent the most time
I
on
don't think
Navi's?
that counts, but yeah, sure.
What, the
It has to be
Edward
simple.
1.6 time?
Oh wait.
Yeah,
yes.
this is the thing.
I think this is. I would say this is CS:GO to
Go, it's
CS2
just-
only. I don't think we have
oh.
1.6
Okay, simple then.
included in
Simple.
Then
Then
have
simple.
to.
Lock in simple.
See, this is the thing. Dimitri's got to check his 1.6s around here. All right, locking in Simple. Correct answer is Simple.
Yes.
I have to be careful with Dimitri, JL. He always puts these tricky questions in there, these fucking loopholes. So you never know. You can never be too sure.
The answer is always simple, anyways. If they're
Yeah.
simple, it has to be the answer.
All right, question number 3. Who of these Navi players has never been on HLTV top 20 in CSGO/CS2? Is it Edward, Imma, Seized, or Flamey?
Okay, I feel like Imma has been there for sure. Edward has. It's between Flamey and Seized, but I feel like Flamey has been there.
I think Flamey was as well.
Yeah, so it's Seized. Seized is the answer.
Seized is copping some punishment in this one, isn't he? All right. Locking in.
What's it then wrong?
Seized. Correct answer is. There we go. All right.
I got you $7.5.
Three out of 3. This ain't too bad. All right, let's get into question number 4. Who has never been the coach of Navi?
LMBT.
Yeah, that one's a quick one. Bang.
Easy.
Lock that one straight in.
I thought you said it's going to be hard. It's gotten
Look,
easier and
It
easier.
wasn't too bad.
Not everyone would be getting these. LMBT's doing Mouse Academy now, isn't he? I think I saw the other day. That's
think
pretty
so,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, it's return to the Mouse jersey. All right, final. This is for the $50 skin.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, guys, if I get this wrong.
See, there's other than Simple, who of the current or ex-Navi players
Electronic.
had the best HLTV top 20 placement in CSGO CS2? How high was Guardian there?
I don't feel like he has been harder. In the Navi roster? Oh no. Ex-Navi players are the best HLTV top 20 placement. Has Guardian ever got higher than 4th?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'm
Wait,
looking at
has it?
Striker to try and give this away here.
I'm poker face.
I feel like it has to be Electronic.
You're probably right. I'm happy to
4th
go
is
with
very
it.
high.
I don't know how high. That's the thing. I just don't know how high Guardian was. I'm happy to lock in your Electronic answer here.
Let's lock in Electronic. First,
All right.
all
with the
trust your
gut.
gut.
Lock it in Electronic. Correct answer is.
Sorry, boys.
He was second in 1 year.
Sorry.
What
He
year
was
was that?
second.
Like 2013?
2015, and when
yeah.
Olaf was number 1.
Damn. I didn't play CS back then. Okay, I did. I'm bullshitting. That year I started.
Look, you know, the fact that we give away 2 skins, one for Twitch and one for Kick, it's technically giving away $30 worth of skins. So it's not too bad, you know. Don't apologize. So they're out here. They're just here to leech off of you. They're here to, you know, they're here to. What are those fish called that live symbiotically with the sharks? And they go around and they're eating the leftovers from the sharks. I don't know. Someone should be watching Shark Week to give us the answer. I'm sure they'll have it. But we're going to draw our winners. Not everyone's excited about sharks. Everyone seems scared about sharks. I'm sorry I mentioned sharks, everyone. Don't be too upset. Our winners are Feels a Boot, I reckon Canadian maybe. And on Twitch, Mighty Guy 07. So congratulations. Our people reach out to your people, and we'll get you all the skins. All right. Cool.
That wasn't too bad, was it?
No.
Besides the last one.
Yeah, that was a bit.
But the last one's meant to be hard, I'm sure. So, all right. Let's get into this. So what I want to do, Joel, is this evening, just so you have an understanding of where we're going, because Striker's already seen. What we're going to do just is quickly run through a couple of hot topics of news, of recent news that has happened. And I'll just get Striker to do the X's and O's. And then if you and I have any questions for him about these things, like you have a great, because even though you are taking some time off, you're still looking at things from a player perspective.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to kind of get your framing today on that. We're going to go into a bit of a roster roundup with some that we've already discussed a little bit, but they've become official. So we'll quickly touch on those. And then we're going to jump into FISSURE, which are framing as the best of the rest, or at least Graham Messioso Pitt was framing as the best of the rest. And we can talk about that, which is kicking off tomorrow. Okay, let's get going then, shall we? So Striker, Astana has had a prize pool increase. What's the increase? Hit us with the X's and the O's here.
Yeah, so PGL's always had 1.25 million for, I'm pretty sure, all of their tournaments. And then just as kind of the deadline hits, they increased it to 1.6. Undoubtedly to combat with IEM Dallas, which is basically happening at the same time. It is impossible to play in both, unlike last year, where it was one straight into the other effectively. So yeah, that's in an attempt to steal some of the top teams.
Okay, so that's interesting. Now, JL, as someone who attends all of the major events, a Blast event, you guys went to PGL Astana, you guys go to the ESL events. How did you find Astana when you went this year?
I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Astana was a tournament. It was different. That was the first tournament I've ever been to where the signs and everything is written in Russian letters. For me, that was very weird, like a cultural shock. I would imagine for some people it's more of a cultural shock because I actually do speak the language. I can understand the letters, but I've never seen them in real life. And,
wow.
Yeah. And the people were very friendly, actually. I was surprised. I was going on the street and I was meeting a lot of people and they were just like very excited to see me there. And
Yeah,
because you're a pro player, man. I don't know if they'll be as nice to me.
Oh.
Now, look, you guys didn't go to Dallas after. Did you go to Dallas last year?
Yeah, we did. Great tournament.
Okay, so if you were going to so essentially, let's just lay out what Striker said. It feels like PGL have upped the prize pool to try and sway teams to go to Astana over Dallas next year, right? This is what this whole conversation is about. Do you think that will have a big impact? Do you think teams would pick ESL to go to Dallas? Do you think people would want to go to Astana? Like, what's your perspective on that as a player?
I feel like they're going to go to Astana. Okay. I'm not sure about the scheduling. When is the major after Dallas, or is it... What's the scheduling like? But I feel like the only reason people picked Dallas this year was because the major was in NA. Not the only reason, but maybe they have some agreements with ESL. But now everything is about VRS. And VRS is heavily influenced by the money in the tournament. And why would people go across the borders to NA, have an 8-hour time difference to play Dallas, when instead they can go to PGL Astana and win 1.5 million or whatever, and the prize pool. And they can also play for third place. It's not going to be third, fourth. It's going to be third or fourth. You know what I mean?
Yes, so ESL going to be the case for ESL as well from now on.
Oh, that's very good.
From after Cologne, I think it's PPL the first one, right?
Yes, yeah. But the travel one's still the huge one, right? Like I think, in terms of not needing to fuck up your sleeping schedule and everything like that. Before that is Rivals, which is also going to be in the US though. So teams might go and do Rivals, then hang around for an extra week or whatever, and then go to Dallas potentially. Awesome. So there's all that to consider right there. But I think
there's also the caveat that you can only skip a number of events to still apply for the like the end of year payouts over for the viewership on ESL, you know. So if you have too many skips already, maybe you might have to go to Dallas regardless of what you want, you know, just so you don't miss out on that.
And the
So
grants.
there's extra incentive.
Maybe they'll skip Dallas.
Yeah,
Well,
it's possible if they can, because I think you can do 3 in 2 years, 2 in a single year, I think is the rule. I can't remember now exactly, but obviously, you know, some teams have already skipped some events. Some teams already skipped Dallas last year. They might skip Chengdu, you know, because it's China and all that stuff, or something like that, you know. So there's some strategizing there.
I think something else for consideration is if you're trying to win the Grand Slam, right? So if you're a team who's already got a couple of notches and you want to grab another one there, I think that's going to be interesting. This is where teams are kind of playing the strategy of picking and choosing what events and how this kind of factors into the points that you're looking for, the major qualification, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's cool that PGL are doing things to incentivize it though by upping the prize pool, and we'll see if there's any response from ESL with that. But yeah,
there can't be any more, by the way. I mean, they're past the deadline now. They can't change anything unless they get an exception.
Well, there you go.
Ooh.
There you go. Okay, well, you mentioned the trap word of this evening, exceptions. Now, Valve added 8 new exceptions to Tournament Striker. What are we going through with those?
Yeah, I mean, it basically touches on all the 3 biggest tournament organizers plus Perfect World, or rather, two of the 3 biggest, and then Perfect World. For ESL, it's just the 3rd place deciders, which were effectively like a small adjustment to the prize pool distribution, you know, which you can't really do past the deadline. So they didn't need an exception to, you know, run a 3rd, 4th place match.
Yeah, we touched on that before, right?
With a different distribution that they previously announced, obviously, you know, because if you don't make it, you know, if you don't give them more money for a 3rd place, then nobody wants to play that match. You know, there's no incentive. So they couldn't do that without an exception. So that's for the 4 events that are now in the deadline, which is starting from EWC, then EPL, IM Chengdu, and then Krakow for next year. For Blast, it's like kind of a threefold thing. One of them is the change to Blast Open being online, the group stage. We'll touch on that a little bit later. And then for Bounty, that's a curious one. Valve said they can consider MRQs as a tier 2 event for the purpose of wildcard invitations. And to put context on this, you can only use wildcards the way that they are framed now. You can only invite winners of tier 2 events as a wild card, you know. So effectively they are saying that Blast wants to invite a winner of an MRQ to be able to play in a bounty without having the top 28 in global ranking that they already invite, you know, by the VRS, you know. And I was looking into what teams this might be, and effectively it comes down to 6 that wouldn't get in by ranking already. And it's OG, Fluxo, Imperial, Chinggis, Wildcard, and FlyQuest. So, I mean, you could imagine that it's somewhere between like Wildcard, FlyQuest, OG that they might want to get in as a wildcard effectively.
So which event is this for again?
This is a bounty.
Okay, I see what you're saying there. All right, yeah. So that's the 32 team event. It's going to be the first stage online and the second part.
Yeah, so they have 28 global VRS, top 28 global VRS spots, and then 4 potential wildcards, right? And so I guess they just wanted to check if they can invite MRQ winners, and they were allowed to. So
okay, all right, I see where we've gone there. All right,
and then I just wanted to round off Blast. They gave them the same exception that I felt was really egregious in this year, which was for rivals.
Oh, they're doing it again next year.
They are doing it again next year, where they can run it as a wildcard event. You're required to run 3 tier 1 events per extra wildcard, where you don't have to follow a lot of these rules. But Blast only hosts 2 in a season before the rivals, you know, which is the bounty and then open. And they've been allowed to again without hosting the 3rd event, which I honestly thought would not happen for the next year, because I figured there would be fewer exceptions, but at the moment doesn't look like it.
Yeah, that's a bad one there. What do you think, JL, of something like Rivals, right? Like, do you care that there's an event? You don't, with the formats and everything, not looking into it?
I have no idea what the fuck that is, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Wild cards, 28 VRS, and 4. I'm listening. I'm trying to get into it, but I have no idea what the fuck is a wild card or an MRQ.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me try to pivot this way. What about you? Did you like the third implementation of 3rd place decider matches? Do you like that?
Yes, I love that. Actually, I feel like it's one of the best additions. I didn't know why we didn't have those in the first place. For me, it's very important. Maybe instead of the show match that we have on the grand final days, we just play a best of 3 for the 3rd place decider.
So back in the day, I think we did have some, But and I'm going back
A
like
lot of them, I
5-6
think, even,
years. But what would happen is players wouldn't try and they'd just turn up hungover. But that's because a lot has changed from 5, 6, 7 years ago to now. Like the pre-pandemic times compared to the current times, like people would just go out after they lost and get fucked up and then go in and play hungover. Now you're held a lot more accountable. You paid a lot more money. You have a lot more people as the structure. The points matter for the VRS. So there's a whole lot more incentives for them to do it, because back then it was prize money and the prize money was pretty negligible. But in terms of what it is now, like I imagine if you could do it at the major and then we had a third place medal, right? And
Would
then
be very nice.
That'd be fucking sick. How good would that be? You'd have a third and a fourth place medal in the mix. That'd be really cool.
Yes.
With the others, yeah, Striker?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the big thing was just there was not enough on the line. Like, once you're out of the tournament, effectively, you know that players will just not care as much about a third place versus playing in the grand final, for example. So the incentives were never really there. VRS helps with that a lot, and then just having quite a lot more prize money on the line, actually, especially in PGL's case. For that third place decider, they did really bump it up quite heavily. So for the right teams that do have like a lot of improvement to do, in terms of prize money, it's really worth a lot.
Yeah, so modern day, it's good. In the other stuff that Striker was talking about, the rivals thing, that's a grievance that I think we both have, but we can touch on that later down the track. That's not going to impact anything too much right now.
Yeah. There's one more, which is the Perfect World one. There's CAC May invites 2 past winners of prior CAC events as wildcard invitations, and that's also very curious because this is a bit complicated, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So CAC were late with a lot of the announcements, and apparently Valve forced them to make it a tier 2 event instead of a tier 1. But they still allowed them to invite past CAC winners, which would effectively nowadays be a top 10 team, which is, you can't invite top 10 teams to a tier 2 event, but they can because of this exception effectively. The weird part is how they would fit, because the only team that's still the same from those winners, which is NAVI from 2018 or whatever it was, 2019 was MATYS, and 2023 was FaZe. FaZe is the only one that still has that core, still has anywhere near the same lineup as the previous winners. And it said like 2 of them they are allowed to invite. So I really don't understand what this is about. I don't understand how that works. If they're actually going to be allowed to invite like NAVI or MATYS, regardless of the fact that like that winner never, like that had nothing to do with the current roster, So I don't really understand that one, I have to say.
Okay, that's an odd one, but we'll see what happens with the fallout of that and get to it. Okay, another bit that came out, you probably missed this one, Jay. It would have been during your honeymoon or your wedding. ESL posted a picture of the Spodek, or at least an outline of it in an announcement saying that there was going to be an event there in 2026, but without any other details. Which caused a bit of confusion because everybody knows we're moving to Krakow for Katowice, right? That event slot next year. We're going there as the first ESL or IEM stop. So they've posted that news. I guess, Striker, people should be able to work it out pretty easily, don't you think?
I think it's an ESL event, not an IEM event anymore.
Exactly.
It's going to be the same thing, but no in IEM.
Exactly. So which means it can only be Pro League, right? Because the only events that aren't IM events is ESL Pro League. And I would assume, here's another massive assumption I'm going to make, that you wouldn't want to put 2 Polish events run by the same tournament organizer in the same 6-month period. So if I was going to make a crazy assumption right now, that I would assume that it is going to be the second Pro League season next year, finals will be played in the Spodek.
Yeah,
that would be my powers of deduction, guys. I hope that the logic kind of checks out. But
it definitely checks out. I can say we made the same kind of like train of logic in the article itself. Where it's everything else is effectively announced apart from Cologne, which is not announced because it's a major. Spoiler alert! We've basically not confirmed, but it's everybody can see it. And then the only 2 events that we haven't had locations announced for 26 for ESL is the 2 Pro League seasons. So it has to be one of them. And as Chad says, it would make sense to go from Krakow to Katowice in like 2 months' time or whatever it is. The space between those 2 events, I think even less than that. So pretty certain it is the second Pro League season for sure.
I hope they do a different setup. I hope they don't set it up the same way as the IEM. I hope they change it however they can in there to make it a little bit different. One thing I wanted to bring to you, Jail, is because a lot of so we've got Blast Bounty, which starts online, finishes on LAN. We now have Blast Open, which is our next piece of news, now starts online, finishes on LAN. Next year, EPL is going to start online and finish on LAN.
Ooh.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
How does that make you feel as a professional Counter-Strike player? Do you like the fact that you might get some more time at home? Do you hate the fact that you have to play officials online? What are your thoughts when you hear that?
I'll be honest. If I was still part of the team and we were gonna play an EPL from online, we wouldn't be at home. Trust me.
It'd be boot camp.
Yes.
Okay.
But that would be just another reason to make a boot camp.
Okay. Do you think it is like a positive effect doing a boot camp where you have like online officials?
I feel like there is some merit to it, but it just takes away from your home time.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess like online overall is one of those other problems too, because the main time that you play online CS is while you guys are practicing, right?
Yeah.
So you obviously everybody wants to play on LAN. That's where the best Counter-Strike is played. But you see that these TOs are moving in their direction. Let me just check in with Striker just quickly regarding the Blast portion of this new Striker Open. That is, what was the rationale that they gave to move in the groups online for the Open as well? Because now that's going to be two of their two events that are bigger than 8 teams. Two of their 3 events. The only ones bigger than 8 teams, probably how I should put it, are now going to start online and finish on LAN.
Yeah, I mean, I can read out the official response, which we got when we tried to push them for an answer. This change is driven by the challenges of the 2025 event calendar. Shifting the first stage online reduces the travel strain and should ease logistical pressures for participating teams. So that obviously implies that they've talked to the teams and they said maybe it's too much to travel to these events, whether that is just a cover up, who knows. From what I understand, it was a fairly last minute change. Well, we didn't really know about it until quite close to the event, so yeah, who knows.
It's kind of wild. I think it's probably the same reason that EPO is doing it next year, is like a saving of money type situation, right? Like people are still going to watch, but it's the overall value, the entertainment is going to be lacking because having online Counter-Strike is tough. Like, I don't know about you, JL, but I love the fact that you guys are facing each other when you play these matches. Yeah. At the major, the fact that it felt even closer at the major than a lot of the setups that you guys are on with those. And that itself is like the entertainment. I love waiting for the end of round to hear the banter. Makes it feel like more of a competition. So losing that from a group stage, it's going to hit the product a lot. Do you, like, what's your thoughts on things moving online? Would you prefer to do the travel? Like you said, for you guys, you'd be traveling anyway. You're going to be at a boot camp. So what do you think with this?
To be honest, I feel like online benefits a couple of teams, but I don't feel like it's a big change to any other team having it online. I myself would rather play online. It's just that, I don't know, online you don't take it as serious because you play online, you play face it, you play practice, it's not as serious. And whenever we do play an official, it's online. And so we had this last tournament that we lost to Spirit in the semifinal. It was online. We played against Imperial Female and then we played against Astralis.
That's right.
I didn't like those officials. For me, they were terrible.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was weird.
It feels like it. Like I hope that these are temporary things while Blast and ESL are trying to save some money. Like that. Like there's going to be ebbs and flows. I've been doing this now on the talent side of things since 2016 and a couple of years before that as a player. On the talent side, you get to see the up and downs of the businesses a little bit more in terms of like where they're spending money and where they're saving money. And right now we're in a bit of a downturn. I imagine this will last for a little while, but I hope it doesn't last for too long. Like I hope we get these adjustments away and they move back to LAN and the impact on the viewership is big enough that they can justify spending money to bring you guys to the events because that's what people want to be watching. People will still watch. That's what I think that they're banking on, is that people will still watch. But we know that we get the better products. Do you think, Striker, this will have impact on attendance of some of these events, or do you think teams will be strong-armed by the frequent flyer program and the ESL viewership incentive program? Yeah,
I mean, I think there's definitely going to be incentives to still play in these events, especially in Blast's case, where the skipping, is I think a bit more strict.
You have to play 4 in a row, even to just be eligible.
Yeah, I don't recall exactly how it is, but it is quite strict in terms of like you kind of have to play the whole season of Blast if you wanna apply for the extra incentives. So that's part of it. That's probably just going to make the top teams at least attend. But when it comes to some of the, let's say, sub top 10 or like around the top 10. Those guys, they want the most points because they want to stay in the in the cycle, right? In the invite cycle. And so if there's going to be a clash of 2 events and one of them is going to be part online, one of them is going to be full on LAN, I think there's a pretty good chance that they'll just choose the full LAN one because they'll have a much bigger opportunity, because the way that it works now, I mean, Blast is going to be split into 2 different tournaments. And so the first online part is effectively going to be worth nothing in terms of prize money. So like the online tournament almost as if it didn't exist. It's going to be the absolute minimum possible impact on the VRS, you know? So like really you have to make it to the LAN and win something there to even have something like any sort of an incentive to play this. So it is effectively for just the top teams who can kind of bank on getting far enough, you know, to actually get all the incentives out of it, you know? So it's yeah, I'm not a big fan of how that was going to work, and I wouldn't be surprised if teams recognize that as well.
Yeah, well, Graham just put out a tweet when this StarLadder news came out that they were moving their group stage to online. And Graham's quite unhappy about that by the look of his tweets.
He's been, I think today's been pretty rough on poor old Graham, because he's posted like 5 different tweets adding Counter-Strike in all of them. I mean, he's absolutely within his right, because it's been kind of a mess the last few exceptions, the last few changes to these events that seem inconsistent with what I've heard that other TOs have tried to get the same exceptions but weren't allowed to. I will say right now, like when we spoke to Valve about the Blast one, I can tell you they didn't know about it until it happened. And then they kind of gave them the exception, you know? So like there's obviously some inconsistencies in how this is being handled, and I can totally understand from Graham's perspective why that feels unfair.
Yeah, we need to iron out a lot of this quicker than we are, especially with that belt of teams, right? The teams who are falling outside of like the top 24, I guess it is, and where we have multiple events overlapping, the invites are going to be deeper because it's causing a bit of chaos there at the moment. That's probably the biggest gripe I think we need to get past. But all right, let's get into some roster news so we can bring Jail into this conversation and stop boring him to death with this fucking nonsense that we're talking about. We'll get to that.
I mean, it's just something we have to talk about every now and again.
We'll get into it again next week, right? We're going to do another episode next week, and maybe we can take a look at some of these things a little bit more in depth. Maybe bring Graham in if he's got some time, and we'll do that just for all the old boring people like us. This is that type of stuff's not for everybody. Let's get into the juice, right? Let's get into all the bits and bobs that happen with some of the top names, and we'll discuss some of these roster changes, and then we'll take a look at FISSURE and what's coming up. So G2 have finalized their roster. I don't know. Did they didn't officially say anything. It's just that the Cologne
roster is out there, and so it's very clear that it is confirmed.
Yeah, so we knew that Saw and SunPayus were going there. Heroic had to make that public information with the major because of conflict of interest. When we had a very good idea that Snacks was going, Hunter was taking over the in-game leadership, so he's been benched now. The last piece of this puzzle to join Malbs, Heavy God, Hunter in-game leading, SunPayus there from Heroic with the AWP, and Saw now as the coach, is MATYS from Fnatic. That's at least the team that he's been on most recently. But when he did join Fnatic a couple years ago now, it would have been a year and a half ago, right? That MATYS has been there at least a year.
Yeah,
and he kind of had a splash and put his first of all his disgusting mouse pad, but more than that,
he's changed it now.
Thank God.
He's got a new one.
Yeah, mate, that was like a. You know those blankies you have as a little kid, like a security blanket? That's what his mouse pad was like. It was all disgusting, but he was still carrying it around with him everywhere. He's the 5th of G2, and I think that's a nice little piece to have with it. Somebody who's quite aggressive to be in there alongside a Malbs. You're going to have your, I don't want to call them just like exclusively passive players, but your players probably on the extremities or being a bit more lurky of your Hunters and your Heavy Gods. And then you've obviously got SunPayus in there with the experience in the AWP. So, Joe, you take a look at that roster. G2's kind of been in a bit of a free fall since they lost Nico and now m0NESY. What do you make of how they've been able to piece things back together? How does this roster look to you?
Looks promising, actually. I'm not sure how Hunter is going to be changing his role, because he was a lurker, kind of a passive player, but now he has to be the in-game leader. And the in-game leader likes to be a part of the pack, so he would have to be part of the pack. So it's going to be most likely Hunter, Malbs, and who else in the pack? And SunPayus. That's the pack. And then MATYS and Heavy God on the sides. I feel like it's doable, actually. I feel like Heavy God is really good lurker / anchor. I was watching his demos a little bit. I feel like he's doing quite well. We have matching positions on some maps. And yeah, I feel like it's mostly about how Hunter and Malbs, this duo works in the middle of the pack. And SunPayus, of course, but he's kind of with the third leg of the pack because it's those two that are going to be working. I'm really interested, actually. I feel like Hunter has the capabilities of being a great aggro player, kind of taking the space with Malbs. They should ping pong off each other really well in that scenario.
I guess they have Saw there as well to kind of help integrate Hunter into this type of a role, so that we're having one of the stronger coaches at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see what type of style that he implements within this team, because one of the criticisms that's been levied to Malb since Nico left is now he's been given these roles that are the star positions or the map control positions, and he's even been making some tweets on his own volition that he hasn't been living up to the standard and has been having a tougher time with the server.
But that's the problem. I think that is his mental barrier. Because he wants to be Nico in a way, because he got his roles and he's like, GT needs a Nico, and I think that's more of the public narrative of him replacing Nico. So he has to be like one-to-one change. I think that's definitely not the case for any other player, because if you look at Wonderful, he replaced Simple, and replacing Simple it's impossible. You have to be your own player. You cannot have the same impact as one of the greatest players of all time. And Malb should do the same. He should have his way of playing and not even thinking about Nico. Maybe taking Nico's work ethic, his mindset, but in-game stuff, I feel like they're two completely different players. And he shouldn't be copying him at all, or holding any sort of burden on his shoulders to lift the weight of Nico's presence.
Sure. Yeah. Striker, you see this, like, I don't think I think Joe's kind of hit the nail on the head right there with the Hunter situation, because there's no lack of potential of these players. We've seen what MATYS, Heavy God, Malbs are able to do when they're on their best days. So what do you think of the complexion of this team? Like, it's not household names in the server, but it still feels like it has some pretty good promise to it.
I think it's pretty sensible. I think it's the biggest question mark is kind of how it all fits together, because MATYS is not exactly kind of even a secondary anchor in Fnatic. You know, he's much more aggressive. He likes to make plays, you know, all these things, and he's probably going to have to switch away from that, you know, assuming that's, like, of course you have Heavy God, who's also more on the passive side, but also a guy who likes to make plays despite kind of what the situation, what the positions he has, you know. So I'm like, my only concern really is whether the positions are going to work together pretty much on both sides, because there's going to have to be a lot of swapping around for Hunter especially, and then, you know, people around him to fit it together. Overall, like, considering the names, I actually kind of like it in the sense that it is a good combination of experience and some hunger, right? Some young firepower, because you also have, maybe it would be kind of low on that side if you didn't also have Saw coming in, right? Like, if we still had, I would just throw out Taz as an example. Like, obviously he's an experienced guy, but we didn't really see him as the guy who was putting in the system as much as, you know, a Saw would, because we've seen Saw do that with Heroic time and time again. And before that with Ents, of course, that he was part of putting a system together, right, with the in-game leader and making that work with pieces that were, let's say, underdeveloped, right, in pretty much both of those rosters. So I think the combination of SunPayus coming in, who also has quite a lot of experience, a lot of, I would say, a lot of voice inside the team as well, you know, calling for his plays and all these things. We've seen SunPayus do a lot of that. And then Hunter being this, having to make this transition to on-game leader is probably going to be easier thanks to having SunPayus and Saw next to him, you know, to be able to complement that. So I think it can work. I honestly think it can work, despite the fact, you know, that, you know, they've effectively lost two superstars to have to do this.
Yeah, well, this was one of the things that we were discussing. Obviously, we had Stilgar on at one point, and we were talking about how they can rebuild, and Hunter having to take over the in-game leadership was one of those things that popped in. But this is a scenario where their debut event is going to be Cologne. So it's, you know, straight into Cologne there. And I think they're in the top 8, aren't they? So for them, you know, they're straight into the hard games immediately. They don't get any warm-up games within the play-ins. So how much time, JL, do you think, because it's the same core, but as we're discussing, new in-game leader, new coach, so likely new approach, how long until a team do you think would be, you know, we've seen the potential of what this 5-man could offer? How long would you put on a roster early?
At least 3 months. I mean, a coach change, it's tough, because I know Saw is a guy that is going to be putting in the system. He's a structural coach. It's not more of a team decision. Of course, you have to. Of course, he's going to look at the team's opinion and the players, but I feel like he's going to put in a system and then adjust according to the players, and not the players adjusting the system. So I feel like that takes time to learn and to adapt to the players, because some of them didn't have a system for quite a long time, and now they will. So that takes time to adapt. And then also there's new roles, new everything. Of course, they can hit a honeymoon period, but that's hard, because even though they're coming into Cologne and it's our first tournament. We can do whatever we want. We're not gonna be disappointed. Of course, maybe they have a goal of something like me reaching the quarterfinals, but they will still need time to kind of adapt to each other. And I actually feel like they have a good team for chemistry.
But
Actually.
I think there's some personalities in there that will definitely get along pretty well. Like MATYS, he doesn't seem like a quiet guy, but he also doesn't seem like the super loud guy. But I think he has a personality to him. So it looks like it could be a fun team to watch. But this is the main question, right? Because the overarching story coming into the second half of 2025 is the continuation of the first half, which is, can anybody beat Vitality? Right now, this G2 roster, you look at this team. Do you think that they have any chance of being a contender? Like, can they beat a Mouse? Can they beat a Falcons? You know, how strong do you think they can be?
I feel like the only team that is unbeatable right now for G2, I feel like that's Vitality. And if they do beat Vitality, that's because Vitality didn't play their game. And it's no offense to any of the G2 players, but Vitality is just so far ahead of every single team. And I feel like even Falcons or Mouse stand no chance against Vitality if they play their game. It's so hard. They play super well. Of course, at times they might get, you might call it lucky. Oh my God, it was a close game. They came back. But that's the experience that they have. And they have so good players. Like, I'm so envy of Vitality and maybe a little bit of, not jealous is not the word, but I'm such a big fan of them because they're putting in the work, they're putting in the hours, their chemistry is going through the roof, they love each other. I don't know, it's just like a team that you want to look up to. And I feel like they have what it takes to win every single time. Of course, it's impossible to win every single game, every single tournament, but it's up to them for other teams to beat them, for now at least.
Okay, so you think this G2 roster has potential to be a top
Falcons
10 team?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's not a bad,
I'm
a
really
bad
curious
future for
about
them.
the Falcons.
Well, this kyousuke kid, mate, like so I'm going to use this word, and I mean this word in the nicest possible way. Like, this is him and Donk and these Russian kids. They are absolute fucking freaks. I've just been binge watching all Player Break long, just the POV face it VODs of these guys and the way that they move, their crosshair placement, their time to kill. It's like they're animals. But you say you're curious about Falcons. Is it because of the role clash?
Role clash, that's first. And I don't feel like their team has a good balance of performance players and team players, like synergy. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like, okay, maybe they will be the first ones. Okay, not the first ones, but they will be a rare example of you don't need team synergy to win tournaments and win games. Maybe you'll just have enough firepower and enough star players to just win the games.
They're like an American muscle car, you know,
yeah,
like
just
a V12 engine or something crazy. Yeah, all power. So you don't think they'll be like, because so this is me with I guess it's a prediction, but it's based off of information. I was watching like kyousuke, m0NESY, and Nico were playing some faces. They're playing Ancient, and kyousuke was playing Bitter with m0NESY, and Nico was back over to playing B Long, right? Which is what he used to play before. So I'm like, okay, that's nice. That's what I want to see, actually. That makes me really happy. kyousuke, this like 17-year-old anime protagonist in around the smokes, the mollies, the flash. That's a spot for him. Nico, B ramp, aiming, tapping away. That's a spot for him. This works out quite nicely. So I feel like Nico might be relinquishing some of his positions over to kyousuke and playing, I don't want to say more supportive. I definitely don't mean that, but like off of map control positions in some maps. So is there a way to get to the solution necessary, or do you think they will just go all power? No breaks.
I mean, I feel like kyousuke fits better in those roles, and it's what's the point? He's so much firepower and so much grind. It's kind of hard to beat a player like him, like outsmart him. Of course, you can outsmart him, you can counter him, but they have Zonic and they also have Nico in the team who are very smart in terms of preparation and preparing the games. And I'm pretty sure Nico would be a part of the mid talking discussion. So if they're playing Ancient and mid, Nico would still be a part of the discussion of how to take mid and how to mix it up so you don't get countered. Yeah, I don't know. They all seem like so high in firepower that you could give the role to anyone and it would just fit.
Okay.
But But I feel like Kyousuke is a better fit for mid. But maybe it's just a face it kind of thing, you know?
I was thinking that too, but the position that Nico's looked the most uncomfortable for me over the last 6 months is being middle on ancient, because when he comes out, he's trying to tap, but when Kyousuke and Don't come out, they're moving. Like obviously they're counter strafing and stuff, but I feel like they're much more fluid. And this is the thing. The reason I call these kids freaks is because they make something that once upon a time was like the defining of an art form. They just make it look natural, and that's the bit that's so scary. Is their brain never seems to have this point where they don't know what they should be doing. They're always just like flowing, and it's kind of freaky to watch.
It's so fluent. Their game is so fluent. Like Duncan Kyousuke, and of course even MATYS, they always doing something. They're never frozen, and whatever they're doing looks correct. They'll make it work somehow. And just the magic of those players.
Which should be fun to see when they come out the other side. Another one of these, maybe not to the same degree, but definitely a player who showed some really good moments with Namiga in the last season, up until the last stage of the major. We'd already spoken about this a little bit, Striker. Zweih taking the spot in Spirit. There was still a little conversation. Was it going to be Zontix? Was it going to be magixx? I think we heard a little while into it that it was going to be magixx. Now this change is official now. It's kind of less about, okay, is Zweih going to work? Because I think what we saw in Namiga, like he definitely took these positions. He played them quite aggressively. He put his aim on display. It's like, what happens to magixx now? Like, because he's still a young man. Even though he's been at Spirit, he was at Spirit for a long time. magixx is still a pretty young guy. So I know there was conversation. I think it's another overdrive thing. It was like, oh yeah, maybe in the future magixx could be the in-game leader for Spirit or something along those lines. But I'm not entrenched enough. I'm not entrenched enough in that scene to know anything about that. I just wonder what magixx does in the interim. Like he's the type of guy who I can see just taking the next 6 months off and then assessing his options next season.
Well, he might not have a choice at this point, because all the teams have basically been put together, So maybe, he could make, if there's anybody from like the Russian scene who can make a transition to an international team, it would be magixx, because his English is great, and he could fit in anywhere. So, and he is the type of a player who you just want. Like he's not going to be your first pick in any team, right? Because you want to go for the superstars, for the firepower and all that stuff. But he's a great piece to round your team out. Like if you're missing an anchor who's going to be able to play in some versatile spots, and just like move around. What
about
needed,
Liquid?
Oh, flashie to Liquid, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's actually a very good point. We should talk about that. You've just given us a topic right now. This is a good topic. I didn't even think about this one. So, for the people playing at home, flashie, was he assistant coach or analyst?
Analyst.
Okay.
And also assistant coach.
Okay. Well, let's say both. But essentially getting to mentor under Blade, I suppose, is the way you could frame it. Gets the call up over to Liquid to be the head coach over there. They were using their analyst, Demaz Rover. Can you tell us a bit about flashie, JL? That would be a great insight. Let's hear about flashie.
First of all, I'm so happy for him, and I congratulated him personally and on my wedding because he was there. And I feel like he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Like, hands down, I feel like he never wants bad to anyone. He never shit talks. He always sees the good in people. And I just love this characteristic about him. And he's also a very, very smart guy. I feel like he wasn't as smart when he joined NAVI. He was smart, but now... no, that sounded bad. But he learned so much from Blade in terms of how to analyze and how to kind of dissect the game of CS, how it works and how it should be done. So, he has the great guy kind of part filled, and then also the CS part filled. And now what's left for him is to learn how to be a coach. I know he's coached before. He coached a female team and maybe some other team.
DLG Red, I think it was, right?
Local team as well. He coached before that.
Oh, so 2 teams. I knew it. And yeah, I don't know how it's going to be a challenge for him because he's not the coach I imagine a coach being. He's a bit too nice. He needs to grow a little bit of a backbone. Like he needs to be like, you do this. But he has so many superstars now. He has Stewie, he has Twist, he has Nerds, he has NAF. There's so many personalities, and I'm not sure how he's gonna deal with it. I hope they put the trust in him because he's gonna pull off a masterpiece.
Okay. Well, they're playing right now Liquid versus Sashi on the second map of this EPL Season 22 qualifier. Sashi owned them on the first map. Liquid winning on the second map. I have Twist playing from my PC in the next room because his stopped working.
Really?
Oh,
I can hear him yelling every now and again. So that's why.
Oh,
I
so
have
that
a
was who
different-
was yelling.
Yeah. They were talking.
I'm like, you're holding
some.
someone hostage.
Yeah.
I didn't want to mention it. You know?
They're about to lose. Oh, they just lost a 2v2. They might lose a 2-0, and then you never know. Okay, so you
Not
think he's
Flash's
going to have a? Well, this is the thing. This qualifier felt like it came from nowhere because
Hey, man, I didn't know there was games going on.
Well, this if you're Liquid, if you knew that you were going to have to be playing this early, wouldn't you have just wanted to go to FISSURE instead? Like that's starting tomorrow. Like you're playing this one right now. It's online. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? I guess it's for Pro League, so you want those incentives, right? That's kind of the way this one works. But yeah, okay. All right. Well, that's a nice little insight on Flashie. There, Strike, you got any questions about Flashie you want to ask Jail about?
no, I mean, he kind of touched on it, right? Because, I mean, the biggest concern, I think, with Flashie is not really the game knowledge, because that's what you want an assistant or an analyst for, right? I mean, they're the ones who are analyzing the game and, like, putting that, putting info together for the team, for the players, watch out for this. This is the tendency or whatever it is, like a lot of these things, that's up to the analyst or assistant coach. But like when you step up to the role of the main coach, it is managing personalities. It is, the coaching part of it becomes a much bigger factor, right? So that's always going to be the biggest step up when you make this change. And yeah, I mean that's always going to be something that we're going to have to consider, And so it's nice to hear from JL that it is definitely going to be a concern.
Well, I've thought about coaching before, and maybe it's like I do in the future. And I always think about, I'm like, how do I prepare to do this job, right? Like the Counter-Strike knowledge is one thing, but then knowing the personalities, how are you going to talk to them, how are you going to run your ship, like all of those things. I'd like to have a structure before going into it. And this is why I think it's probably cool for Flash to get to see how Blade did it, how it was done over there at NAVI, one of the best organizations in the world and one of the best teams. Was he with you guys when you won the major?
Ooh. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Like, so, he knows what it takes. He knows what's necessary, and hopefully can find some success for Liquid, because it feels like it's been so long since we've seen anything out of Liquid.
They've just been beating our ass every single time we meet them. Kind of annoying,
well,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that was about all they did, really, wasn't it? So
It pissed me off. Like they beat us, they go out to tournament and fuck off.
Oh, dear. All right, well, we're going to get into talking about JKS in a second, but
Ooh,
Lucas
he's
reminded
your fellow
me.
Australian.
Yeah, it's true, he is. Lucas reminded me we do need to run the ads. So we'll run the ad break, we'll be right back, and we'll keep the conversation flowing, everybody. Be right back.
Sell in-game items at the best prices in just a couple of clicks. We are the biggest instant sell service for in-game items like Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, and Rust. Easy selling process and instant withdrawal of funds to the most popular payment methods. More than 140,000 deals and 50,000 active sellers every month. Use promo code HLTV5 and get a 5% bonus on the sale of your skins. Skin Place. Sell items now.
When every move counts, your chair shouldn't hold you back. Top esports players are switching to Anthros for unbeatable support and performance that keeps them in the game longer. Designed to support your unique shape and built with medical-grade components, Anthros is setting a new standard for comfort. Check out the Anthros difference today and get ready to fix your sit, because gaming deserves more than just a chair.
All right, we're back from the ad break. Thank you for sticking with us. Giles just quickly ran to the bathroom. He doesn't have to change his shirt again. I think that's the exact chair they were using in that ad as the one that I have right here.
There you go. Yeah, I got two by accident, and I got the white one first, and I'm like, maybe that's not such a good
Does
idea.
it have ESL branding on it?
That one does. This one doesn't.
Yeah, but why did we all get two? I wasn't going to tell
Did
anybody.
you also get two?
I wasn't going to tell anybody, but now I've said.
Look, I already outed myself, and they're like, "Yeah, just keep it. Fuck it."
Okay, well now I feel a bit naughty now. I feel like I should have come clean. I should have come clean. I didn't say anything.
I gave the white one to my girlfriend because she's probably gonna not make a mess of it as much as I will. So I have the black one now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right, Jail. Before we move away from Spirit, we figured we should ask you, what do you think was lacking with Spirit? Like last season, why couldn't they get the same type of output as they could previously?
Honestly, I'll be very blunt. Maybe they won't like it, but their game hasn't changed a lot since they started playing, and it's same sort of style. And it's so annoying because you used to play against them, you would know what they're doing, but we just couldn't counter them. And I don't know, there was some sort of magic against Spirit that we just couldn't get the win. It looked like we're doing good, we know what they're doing, but we just cannot kill them. And it's not just Donk. I feel like everyone is shooting really well on Spirit, and yeah. So okay, to answer your question, they were playing too much of the same thing and too basic, I guess, for some teams, because the other teams have a lot of star players and a lot of firepower. We had a team, so we're kind of nerfed in that regard. But yeah, but I don't feel like Magic was the problem.
Do you think they'll be better or worse with zweih?
Worse? I don't think so, because they're still gonna have Donk and Shiro. So Donk is an early fragger, Shiro is a late fragger. I feel like there's not gonna be much of a difference, but I don't feel like zweih is gonna sacrifice as much as magixx did for the team. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe he's gonna add his own kind of element of surprise where he pushes a site or he does something crazy. But magixx would never push, and if magixx ever had an AK, he would drop to Donk, he would drop an M4, he would always play the MP9, he'd sacrifice, he'd jump, he'd run. And I didn't watch a lot of zweih's games, but I just feel like Spirit is gonna miss that kind of player like magixx, because he was always there to sacrifice for the team. And the fact that his rating was not 0.7 is mind-boggling to me, because if you check his demos, he's always going in first, he's always jumping, he's always doing all those kind of things on their executes, and he still manages to pull off like just a little below 1 rating, maybe even more, I'm not sure, but the rating was not bad. So
he actually improved, I think. I mean, it's more of his consistency that was like a problem, I think, where he was just not putting up numbers like from game to the game, right? But I think his ceiling like improved like crazy ever since the Shanghai, grand final, effectively.
I think something that's like this move from Spirit feels like they wanted more firepower, though. Like, I understand what you're saying, but it feels like to me the one thing they identified is a lack of output, which
probably.
But then, like, so, and it was the conversation was always between Zontix and magixx, right? Unless they were going to make an in-game leader change, but there's nobody that's proven that, oh my god, you have to get this guy to be the in-game leader. Like, I don't think there's anybody in the Russian scene that makes you think that at the moment, right? So, yeah, it was going to be one of those two, and they obviously ended up going for magixx, which, Donk only had nice things to say about him as a teammate. And Donk's obviously still pretty young, but he's a savant at the game, so he must really appreciate what magixx was doing. But yeah, okay, so we capped that off.
I would like to actually, back up Donk on this one, because those type of players never get the recognition they do deserve. And I feel like it's really nice of Donk to do that. He wasn't forced to do that, but he still did. And with the reach and the impact Donk's words have on the scene, it's a very nice thing of him to say, because people saw magixx as this, anchor who just dies. But there's a lot more to his game than people think. And yeah, so it's a nice move from Donk. I really appreciate it. Even though he's a young kid and some people, he's so egoistic, or some people would say he's very humble. I think that's a very nice thing to do for your friend. And yeah, big up Donk and magixx.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because a lot of people, there's a few things. When people are watching a match of Counter-Strike, they tend to just be looking at what the observer's bringing, which is looking for kills or deaths, right? Depending on whatever happens on that POV. And then the other side of things is a lot of the game and conversations are about statistics, and then how those players are with their roles and what the expected statistics should be from a player's output. So the game's been reduced to that in a way, right? Whereas the team element, it's hard for people to really experience, because you've spoken about a few of those. Is it intangibles? I think that's the word I'm looking for.
I have no idea. What it means. You have to simplify, bro.
It's these things that you can't measure, right? Like we've been talking about. There was the one to do with the team chemistry, right, or the atmosphere within the team. Now we're talking about, like, in terms of the sacrifice that players making. I think it's easier to measure that. It's just that we're not looking. Like, the way that Counter-Strike is viewed by the populace is not viewed under that lens, right? It's viewed under the lens of, like, where are the kills, who is securing you the rounds, not what helped that guy get the kill, or what sacrifice allowed that multi or that rotation or that information, right? So, yeah, that's the story as old as time. I think ever since we've had statistics kind of leading the charge, unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you want to look at it. Yeah,
I want to actually barge in on this one. Barge in.
Yeah.
The English is not working. But I feel like we miss an analyst or a figure that would actually point those things out. Because whenever you had the segments, I don't know, was it in Blast or ESL or whatever, there was this guy who would always like point out, oh, so they went here, they flash here, they smoke
the
here.
Mahone zone. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I feel like we should need that, but in a different kind of way, to kind of show what this type of player did to win the round. Oh, he survived for his team for 6 seconds. Oh my god, that's crazy. Like magixx is the type of player that is gonna stay on the site and survive 10 seconds. He's gonna kill 0, but every single one from the spirit side is gonna be on site, like already retaking doing chaos. Like those things are intangible.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think I saw a thread on Reddit the other day where people were talking about analyst desks and stuff. And the hard thing is there's different viewers who are looking for different things in those moments. But I think anything that can help educate the viewer more is always a positive thing. Right? It just depends on how can you do it in an entertaining way, because you need to keep people hooked, right?
That's what JL will do for your broadcast.
There you go. Bring him in. Get him to big up. Like this is why you've like the pit anchor. The pit anchor staying alive is a huge deal, and you know,
yes, it's the most annoying thing in the world.
It keeps the options
fuck
open.
Every single pit anchor, really.
Yeah. All right, let's jump around here. Let's go into another one of these roster changes that happened throughout the break, because we kind of have our soft launch tomorrow, and there's matches right now, as mentioned, online matches for EPL. We have the soft launch tomorrow of FISSURE Playground. So we've got a couple more to get through that are outside of FISSURE, and then we'll be talking about FISSURE, which has a few more of the changes in the mix too. So JKS goes back to an Aussie team. So he's done in the FlyQuest jersey. They're boot camping in Serbia at the moment. They're in Russia's TeamSpeak every day. They're just in there just gaming all day long. So he joins there replacing Liaz, which I guess is kind of a long time coming and links into the Liquid conversation, because he was in the bench over there for the last like 3 months or whatever. Now, I don't know like if this excites anybody. It should excite Australian Counter-Strike. I don't think either of you two really care about JKS returning to an Australian team by any stretch.
I do,
oh, you do? Okay.
This is the one opportunity that FlyQuest have to actually do something, because it's like, no, they've been stuck at this kind of a level for such a long time, and they had no way of kind of getting past that. Like they tried it with, upgrading the firepower. They brought in Netic, right? They brought in Vexite before that. Neither of those things really changed anything in terms of their fortunes. And like this is the only move that they had left effectively, to try to combat that. So I'm all for it.
Okay, Jay, why are you excited, or why do you care? Maybe not.
I mean, a national team is always why I care, but of course they have Regali. It's not a fully national team, but I don't know. I like GKS. First of all, we share the same first name, so I mean that's kind of the likability. But I feel like he's a good player. I feel like he's undervalued in a sense from his former teams. I feel like when teams saw him as a player, they're like, oh, he's not bringing any vibes. I don't know the insides. Maybe he was like very toxic from the inside. But I feel like that's a player you can always rely on. That's like the bit of NAVI. He's quiet, but he's going to do his job.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a fair frame. Well, I can't really talk about Justin because whatever I say is very biased.
Yeah, fair framing about him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes. But I was talking to him a little bit about his choices, right? And obviously Liquid, they decided not to make any changes. Justin going back to Liquid, I think, was definitely a conversation that was being had. But I think that going to FlyQuest is probably, for where he is, Justin's almost 30, I think. And getting to play some of those things you were talking about before, JL, the atmosphere in a team, it'd be different with him playing with his countrymen than it has been playing for these international teams the last couple of years. And I think a lot of people at home will have a hard time saying, oh, well, because how did the article come out, Striker, that you guys put out when you put out the news that they were looking to buy out JKS?
Yeah.
I want to see, because I know that this framing, some people didn't quite like the framing, or they couldn't get to the bottom of it. So I want to ask you, because you wrote it.
Okay, I think I know what you're going to say, but okay, go ahead.
But instead of a potential reinstatement to the Liquid roster, JKS is targeting a return to Australia. He has not played for a home team. So that it's essentially that line right there. But instead of a potential reinstatement to the Liquid roster, JKS is targeting a return to Australia. What did you mean by this?
I mean, this was all a framing. Like, I know that people were reading into it a lot as if I said that there was an offer, or there was the possibility of him coming on the Liquid roster, but obviously it was more about the possibility of NAF being replaced and that being an obvious like one-to-one replacement, right? And that they had without having to buy anybody out and stuff like that, you know? So it was more about like where the team was at that point and clearly looking into replacing NAF rather than, you know, trying to pass on any information that I may or may not have had.
Okay, we've gotten to the bottom of it. There was nothing meant by that statement, everybody. Striker didn't mean anything at all. All right. Okay, so that's about it. They're playing in Cologne. They'll be in the play-ins, and we can talk about them next week. Cool. I don't think. Yeah. All right. The thing is, I can't really talk too much about it. Can we? What are we going to say?
Like the thing is that Liaz, you mentioned it at the beginning, right? Like Liaz, it was a long time coming. I think he was struggling so much, even basically ever since they made this FlyQuest move, right? It's been a year and a half now or so that they've been part of that team, and at no point did it feel like Liaz was really filling this role well. And so it just felt like there needed to be an upgrade there at some point. Then who else than JKS? You know, like there's no better guy to come in to try to fill that gap.
I feel like it's shifted a bit, Joe. Maybe I'll turn to you here. Like the anchor role, you're talking about like magixx staying alive, you know, not dying, etc. But to me, as a viewer, even though you have like a passive extremity / anchor player and one that's a bit more aggressive, there's always going to be a time that comes where you have to make a play, or you don't have to make a play, but the window is open for you to make a play. And I felt like Liaz never really grew into that. I think that's what he was kind of lacking, a lack of initiative. And now it feels like every player in the team has to have the level of initiative. Is that essentially what the system did for you guys at NAVI, or were there still like these windows where you got to be a bit creative?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we always had the space to be creative as long as it works. If it doesn't, then maybe it's a little bit different. But I Blade wouldn't care. If you got 2 kills, but you did the wrong play, you got 2 kills. And if you can do it again, do it again. Then he's wrong. And he would always accept that he's wrong in a sense. I mean, of course, in the long run, if you make a play that's not going to work, I don't know, 6 out of 10 times, that's bad. He didn't care much. He wouldn't go too much into details. If you felt that way and you pulled it off, just feel it again.
Okay. All right. So a bit of freedom there. Can I ask a question about a picture that surfaced? It was like you tilting or getting upset about something and Blade with a smile on his face. Do you know what was going on there?
Oh, actually, I feel like that was the moment I was getting really annoyed, like really tilted. And I don't know, the game wasn't going our way. And I feel like I went out, just died like a dog. And then I started screaming into my hands, but my mic was not muted. Like I lifted it up, but it didn't mute, and I was just, oh. Maybe it was that moment. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it was that moment, or maybe not. Maybe I was just tilted. I don't know.
The picture? Do you have the picture, or what?
I don't have it handy here. I just remember it coming up. I remember seeing it. It's just Blade with a big grin on his face, and Jo like looking very unhappy. Did it just get linked? Is that what Lucas is messaging me something? Can you lower the chair a bit? You're at the top of the frame. Oh, okay. That's not the picture at all. Sorry, Lucas. Maybe someone in Twitch chat can post it.
I don't know what picture you're talking about.
I have a video coming up to the major tribute. I have it in my intro.
Okay. All right. Nice. Well, we'll get to see it there.
You get Blade laughing his ass off.
Yeah, it was funny, actually.
All right. We got one more of these to talk about, which is broky being reinstated over at FaZe and then essentially nothing changing. So they did the simple experiment. They were unable to stick the landing there. There was a lot of discourse about that. Striker, do you think it came down to money, or do you think it came down to something else?
Oh, I mean, money was definitely a part of it. So I think it's also like the issue is operas are a really scarce commodity. So like if you're going to get somebody, it is going to be a really big buyout probably, if you're even going to be able to convince them that they should join your team. You know, like a lot of the operas that we have at the moment are probably pretty happy with where they are. So that's not going to happen. So it's like either you go down into the tier 2 and try to pick somebody out, or you're going to bring back a guy who, you know, you've shown that you're ready to maybe give him a slap on the wrist and for him to get his shit together, whatever was happening before that. You know, I'm not sure exactly. So I think I do think it's a combination of both. It is very clear that FaZe don't really have the money to throw around for like a big signing or to try to convince somebody that's the future for them. You know, especially if it's proven names and all that stuff. But I mean, like nobody really thinks this is a solution, right?
Well, this is the thing, right? JL, you see this move, broky comes back. What do you make of this? Like, this is FaZe just going, okay, well, we'll tread water for another season. But do you think they can be competitive with this team?
I have a lot of thoughts, but okay, wait. Maybe it's a good thing that broky took a break. I mean, his comeback was kind of portrayed as in it was a mental health break, kinda. And he's coming back stronger. He's hitting the gym. He's looking healthier. I mean, maybe that's what he needed. Maybe he was feeling a bit too, not tired, but too, I don't know. Okay, burnt out from CS. Maybe that's the word I'll put it. And this break kind of gave him enough motivation to kind of start winning again, because he was the X factor. The X factor. A lot of the times they were doing well in their games, because I remember so many moments broky just hitting a shot with the op, taking his tech down and full swing on the guy and killing him. And then towards the end of his stint with FaZe, I mean, when Simple came, he wasn't doing that anymore. He was a bit too, what's the word? I don't know. He looked tired in game, I'll be honest. He wasn't doing a lot of his own shenanigans.
It felt like the tail end of that team before they benched him and brought in Simple. He was doing a lot of setup stuff. You know, he was throwing a lot of like smokes and flashes to set players up, which on certain maps makes sense for an AWPer. But I think when you look at broky's profile, it's better when he's in the thick of things. Not necessarily being the first guy out, but definitely being in the bomb site when the craziness is going down. And I think when we watched FaZe play with Simple, they definitely weren't going to treat Simple like a utility bitch, right? Like I said, certain scenarios where the AWPer has to throw the smoke, has to throw the flashes, but Simple's going to want to make his plays. Yeah. And if they look at the AWPing role through that lens, they have a player who they should use in that same way. Does it mean that there's going to be other players who are then going to have to throw more utility and set things up? Yes. But you want to get more out of a player like broky, especially in such a key role like that. So maybe having Simple there has reopened the eyes of FaZe to being like, okay, well, we can't just chain broky up, because we got Frozen who wants to go entry in some scenarios. We have Elise who wants to go entry in some scenarios. Rain, who would normally default to doing that. Carrigan, who likes swinging a lot, right? So they have to find a better balance for that if they're going to stick with this team. And maybe that's why this short stint of Simple has kind of given them some confidence. But at most, again, it's just a team that can make playoffs. Like, I don't feel like they can ever really contend with Vitality. And that's the main question overall. Like, Striker, the way that you frame that there, it feels like you have zero confidence in this.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was also based on what I've been hearing like throughout the offseason. Like, it was very clear that they were looking to do something, but
something bigger than this, like multiple changes
bigger than this. There would have been a rifler coming in. Yeah. Like, heard some names that they were like after. I don't want to say any of them because I don't have this corroborated and I don't want to throw stuff out there that I don't actually know. Well, they might have wanted to, who knows, but I don't think
who would have happened.
I don't think that would have happened no matter what you would have told him, at that point. So it's more like it was clear that there was more going on there. It just didn't happen, and it's very clear that it's, at least for now, it's not happening. But there's got to be something down the line. Like, for the rest of the season, I would be shocked if there was nothing else, because there's no way they even see this as a solution to their problems. That like, okay, we're going to give broky 3 months off and like wish that he's going to be the broky that we know from before. As much as it can help, it can have an impact, of course. Like if what JL is saying is true, that he was feeling burnt out, and maybe it brought back the competitiveness and the hunger and all that stuff. But still, like, that 3-month break, it's not suddenly going to turn the whole team around just because one guy's had a 3-month break. I just don't think that's realistic. So I just don't see how this is it. I don't see how this is it.
I'm optimistic actually about this team.
Okay.
I'm completely the opposite here. I feel like one guy has enough power to change the whole dynamic of the team, and I feel like broky could be it.
Okay, it's interesting. I just think, like, there was a lot of clashes with him in the roster before, but he wasn't the cause of those clashes in my mind necessarily. I just feel like the balance is off. But we've had a few periods with FaZe over recent times. Like, remember we had that whole bit from Carrigan, maybe it was last year, how like he was talking about, I need to be more creative with the calls. Like, I can't just call from the script of the strats. Like, they obviously not just calling round after round, but within the confines of what they've done with their like
system.
When he's
micromanaging, is that the one, that the part you're talking about?
Yeah, but I think like that's when Carrigan does his best work, when things like that's why I think he's had so much success with stand-ins in the past with FaZe, is because I'm not saying it's more puggy, but as an in-game leader, your brain's firing more. You're like, this guy, we're doing this, bang, bang, bang. But when you're calling off the structure, you go, all right, we're doing this round. And then it's up to everybody to make sure that they remember the round and that, you know, you're able to micromanage and do that between. But it's not as like, I think the way that he calls with a stand-in or things are with a newer team, it's more like a sandbox. You know, he's playing Minecraft. You know, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He can build a spaceship or he can build an underground tunnel, but with the script, he's got to go by the script, you know?
Yeah, I think the issue there is probably that he went through all of that and like through attempts like to change up his calling and all that stuff, and just none of it worked. And like the frustration builds up or you just don't know what the answer is, you know? I think that was a big theme with FaZe towards the end of the first broky stint or whatever you want to call it, like the first 4 months of the year. It was very clear like Kerrigan was getting to the end of his rope, just not failing to find answers, you know? So I feel like he's tried it all, just failed every time. And so for it to see it come back to the same position, like, I don't know what the thinking is there, you know, if there was any thinking, like, especially knowing that there was more being attempted, at least. I don't know for whom, by the way. That was the curious part I was considering, because like I heard that there was definitely like a look at what players they can bring in and all that stuff, but I never heard anything about who's out. Would it be Frozen or Leash? You know, because or would it be Rain? You know, that's maybe a possibility as well. I would say probably not. So it's like, who are you even trying to replace, and what's the idea here? I didn't even get to that part. At some point, I thought Frozen was getting stolen, but you know, that's when I heard the connection to NAVI. But that didn't happen, and I don't think he is. So I don't know what's the plan down the line. There's got to be something else happening.
Wait.
Oh,
That's
where it all comes together with what JL was talking about before.
Yes,
let's go.
Now it's clicking to me as well. So minus me, minus Ime, and then plus makazze and plus Frozen. Kind of doesn't sound bad, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. It sounds fucking good.
Oh dear. Okay.
I mean, Frozen's great. I mean, no disrespect to him or anything like that, but like a Frozen, and especially considering makazze fits more in MS positions, right? Like that would be a pretty sick lineup, not gonna lie.
And Frozen fits into my positions.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Very much.
Well, we'll see what happens with FaZe. I guess the big question right now is what happens with Simple, and if it's a monetary problem, then probably nothing unless we get to the mid of this next season and people want to try and make emergency changes. Here's my bold prediction based on nothing. Ready for this? We can return to this in 6 months' time and be like, Chad, look how much of an idiot you were. I reckon something crazy is going to happen. Like Simple goes to FURIA and Fallen retires and becomes the coach, and then fucking Yakinda in-game leads. So it's like kyousuke, Yuri, Molodoy. Oh wait,
there's a Molodoy already.
Yeah, but Simple can secondary AWP. Yakinda can in-game lead. Right? It'll all. You know, that's how Simple gets free. He goes to FURIA. No one would expect it, right, Striker? No one would see it coming.
It's true. I would not see it coming.
No one would see it coming. Nah, I can't. I was looking through all the teams, right? And I was trying to come up with, okay, so like where in the middle of the season could Simple go? Where could he go?
Nowhere.
Exactly.
Nowhere. Like it's just nowhere to go.
That's why you have to get kooky and say FURIA and fucking, you know, have him rifle and just cook your brain in the sun like what I've been doing. Anyway.
Would the one chance you would have come back to the roster be if Simple came back, Jill, by any chance?
Oh no. Simple is a great guy, but he's not he's not the guy to bring me back, all I'm saying.
Okay.
Fair enough. All right.
The guy you're going to sacrifice 12 hours a day for. Okay.
If not, we get Zaivu, Nico, Robs.
That's the team.
Maybe I'll come back.
So that's the team that makes JL come back.
That's the one. But no, I would scream for that team really hard. If I'll play, I'll drop everything. I'll just run around with a knife and scream.
Do Sanji. Yeah, do Sanji 2025. All right, let's jump into talking about FISSURE because that tournament starts tomorrow. It's going down in Serbia. The way we're kind of framing this is a soft entry into the new season. Now, we've spoken about this a few times, Shal. I don't know how, maybe this is why you've decided to take a break. But we predict that in the next couple of years, the player break won't even really exist anymore. Because this event, well, it's pretty likely.
That would be very bad. I'll be honest. Like, we don't have much rest. People feel like, oh, there's no event, so they're resting. We're not. We're fucking practicing. Like, even now, it's so bad. We had like, okay, NAVI had, leak it, like, I think 70 days of off time, which is quite a lot. We didn't have that last year. 70 days of off time, and then you come back. It's boot camp, Cologne, and they probably won't be back home for like a month and a half. Yeah, that's fucked. And now imagine removing the player break.
Well, this is the thing. It's probably going to become more and more in the next couple of years, these tournament organizers encroaching on it, because FISSURE is the perfect example of this. This is starting tomorrow. The player break officially, or the tournament break, excuse me, doesn't end until next week, until Monday the 21st is when the tournament break is meant to be back. Like, we're meant to be back, right?
Well, I mean, that's not said by anybody official effectively.
Exactly.
So that's the parts where it doesn't really fit.
Exactly, right? And because we've spoken about this before, because there's no like player union and now we don't have the partner leagues, that's not defendable territory anymore. So FISSURE have seen that in the calendar. They're going to run is it a studio event, Striker, or is there some audience?
There's an audience. Yeah, they're doing it. Actually, they're doing it in the same place as we are the award show.
Oh, okay. So cool. So there is an audience, which is that's great news. So this is going to be running from the 15th to the 20th of July.
For playoffs, by the way, not the whole thing. The first couple of days, the last days are studio.
The last few days will be okay. So the prize pool is $1 million, which, you know, and the top teams aren't attending. There's no Vitality, no MATYS, no Spirit, no NAVI. Liquid's not there. Falcons aren't there. G2 aren't there. So you're missing a lot of the big names in Counter-Strike. Then they're opting to take the break, probably start to practice and get back into things. 16-team event. It's going to be 4 groups of 4. It's going to be a GSL format. So it's going to be 2 teams from each group go through to a single elimination best of 3 bracket, which I believe ends in a best of 5. It's best of 5 grand final. And yeah, so this event is, like mentioned, going to be starting tomorrow. There's only one little issue, and that's that G won't be there, at least for their opening game. They're going to be using, this is for Tyloo, they're going to be using Zoking, the coach, but he's not an AWPer. So I'm not sure what they're going to do about that one. There you go. So there's the bare bones of this. Now, the broader framing is that this is the first event back, but we're saying it's a soft launch to the season because the top teams aren't there. And it's kind of a nice way to see who the framing that Messioso used of the best of the rest. I really like that framing because, you know, we know who the upper echelons and the top teams are, but now we get to go through all these different storylines of the teams in attendance and see who comes out on top of this event, which will mean a lot for the VRS, especially for these teams. So just quickly for our audio-only listeners, I'll read through the teams in attendance. We've got FURIA, Pain, Astralis, Virtus.pro, GamerLegion, 3D Max, Heroic, MIBR, LinVision, Tyloo, Complexity, Big, Wildcard, BetBoom, Saw, and Rare Atom. Now, actually quite a few of these teams have had roster changes. So let's...
More than half, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a lot to like look into of what's going to be going down tomorrow, with it only being best of 3s, so that each team can play a minimum of 2 best of 3s to then be eliminated. So let's go through a couple of these. I've grouped some teams together and I've done some headlines, and we can talk through these and kind of get a sense of how you guys feel about this. So the first bit I've done is Pain and FURIA looking to back up their major performance. Now, obviously, both of those teams making it to the playoffs of Austin. A late resurgence for Pain after they fixed all their roster issues and stuff. And then FURIA signing Yakinda full-time. They're happy with the direction for this project. Both of them looking... They would have to be 2 of the front runners for the event, would you say, Striker?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think you can still lump in kind of Astralis into that same category after the Astana. Of course, we didn't see them in Austin, so we don't really know what their form is like at the moment. But at least with what we saw with Hooksy, you know, we thought there's maybe a chance that they could actually compete for some of these like smaller titles, right?
Yes, okay, but like staying focused in on FURIA and Pain for the moment, JL, when you look at these teams, what do you think the type of a ceiling is for rosters like that? And you can talk about them independently, you can talk of them grouped together, however you want, really.
I feel like their ceiling depends a lot on the coach.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Okay. The coach, I feel like, is the primary source of information. And if the coach is doing a lot of digging around, he's watching a lot of demos, he's going to stay on top of meta. And if not, because the player, first of all, has to play, he has to practice and do all that stuff. And getting extra information like watching demos, that's an extra. Of course, if you want to be the best, you're going to do it. But the coach is implementing most of the plays or keeping you up to date on the meta stuff. So if the coach is doing that and he's adamant on getting the information to you, you have the ability to grow. But if not, I feel like there is some sort of ceiling that you can hit and then stop improving. Of course, I don't feel like these teams have hit their ceiling yet, so there is still room for improvement. But I feel like the coach has a lot of work to do to improve those type of teams. Because I feel like a team like Mongols, why they're so good is because their coach is working really hard. In my opinion, at least. That's completely my opinion. I don't know the insides. But he looks like a really hard worker. And Mongols, as an individual of fives without the coach, they're doing a lot of... Okay, Mongols are not even in the team in the tournament, but I'm talking about them. But they're a good example of how to grow from the rest of the pack, because they don't have the players. Like a year ago, you wouldn't even think of they're going to be in such a position that they are now. And they just grinded it out. They have a lot of stuff from the top teams, and then they adapt those plays to their own game, and they're a really solid team right now. And that's because they did a lot of work, and I feel like the coach is behind a lot of it.
Okay. Well, when I look at these two teams, there's different bottlenecks, I guess, or there's different keys to look for to see if they'll be able to keep up that type of form or elevate themselves to the next level. Like for FURIA, it was such a short period of time with the roster because then they pulled things together last minute, but Yakinda was performing like old Yakinda. So like, my initial question is, can he keep that type of form going into the new season now that he's officially signed?
You think course. He can? Why wouldn't he? I mean, okay, officially signed could be a bad thing because some players perform way better when they're under pressure. I feel like they should re-sign him for like 2 months each time. And if his performance is bad, they don't sign him. But I feel like being under pressure is a good way to push the player to perform better.
Well, if your contract's short, you're always going to be incentivized to be performing, right? You don't get to coast. And I'm not saying Yakinda's a coaster by any means, but he did have some struggles in Liquid. But I think his struggles came from being in the spotlight, right? And he also, in that Liquid project in the early days, was tasked with kind of helping them understand European meta because they were trying to get back to being a top team. So there was a lot of stuff disconnected there. Then I talk about Pain. And one of the biggest critiques, like that for me, I was such an advocate for their story at the major because I had to cast a lot of their games, but I felt it was very important to point out their up and downs of their first season and just how few events they were able to play together unimpeded by any issues, whether it be medical that Big Zero can't fly to Australia, whether it be visa that DGT misses a game or two in Astana, whether it be the roster changes which they opted to go through earlier in the season, playing with the coach, playing with an academy player, et cetera, et cetera. But that was important because the major, you saw what the potential of the team could be, but a lot of eyes get pointed at a player like Snow, who doesn't feel like he's getting a lot of output in his position. So for me, for Pain, that's probably the next position that they upgrade, or they have to work out a way to get more output for somebody like Snow if they want to be a team higher up in the rankings. Those are my two kind of main focus points for Pain and FURIA at the start of the season. Anyone have anything else?
Not my boy Snow.
Hey, look, he's loud. He's got big hands.
Yeah. I mean, I just checked his rating. It's 0.87. I expected a lot more. But
he's not been like doing great. Like my kind of big takeaway is kind of looking at NQZ and if he's going to continue the Austin form.
He was great.
That's the thing. Like he was really driving that semifinal finish for them time and time again. In a lot of those close games, he had so many decisive moments where he was making all the difference, and that was pretty much the case in the FURIA game in the quarterfinals as well. And he had a kind of a struggle as well, like while my Pain were trying to figure it out with this new roster, never really getting it working together. You could see that was affecting NQZ, and he finally found that form again in Austin. And like he started that conversation of, okay, we didn't really know who the best Brazilian opera was. Maybe we can start on that conversation again, like if he keeps this up. So that's my kind of focal point for Pain.
Yeah. Okay. Easy. Sure. All right. Well, those are and I guess what's going to be important as well as the groups they're in, but let's do that at the end because I think that the stories are kind of more interesting. Now, this next one is about Astralis, which you touched upon before, Striker. This is Astralis' first time back in the server since PGL Astana, where they made the grand final and they lost to Spirit and they even won a map. And it was on debut.
That was close the whole series, best of 5, man.
And this is a thing, just to give some context to that, I had the date written down. Apparently, I didn't copy and paste it in my notepad, in my prep. But I think it was May 18th was the day that they played that official. May 18th. Guys, it's fucking 14th of July right now. So this is their first event. They've essentially been on ice for 2 months. They must be, and HLTV's now officially full-time signed. They must be gagging to get back in the server. Joe, did you get much practice against Astralis? Because obviously the last stint of the year you're in America, but did you get any practice with this against this roster?
I think zero
really?
times.
Okay.
Yeah, we only lost against them in Astana, so it was good practice.
What do you think of the team, though? Right, like because I think that Stare's a very good player. Obviously, Device, everyone knows Device, but having HLTV come in and be, I'd say, more of a traditional in-game leader. Like, do you think that's been the missing piece for this team, or because they tried Katie and that didn't work out? It's been a bit all over the place. Astralis is another team that's been really struggling.
I feel like they have so good players, and I have no idea why they were so bad at certain points. Like, I really don't understand. I look at their lineup, like, no matter who's your in-game leader, you must win games. Like, I saw against some teams that they lost, I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, honestly. And I don't know. I don't feel like it was an in-game leader fault. Like, as a player, you must know what's right and wrong in some scenarios. And, yeah, I don't know. But right now, this lineup, I feel I have a lot of hopes for. It looks like it has a lot of potential. Like, Device, HLTV, Stone, Yabi, and Stare. Like, for me, those are good names, like actually good names.
I feel like they could be breaking into the top 10 and be a consistent top 10 team this season, Striker. What do you think? You think the same?
Yeah, easy. For sure, they're gonna end in the top 10.
Okay. That's what we should have done, because we're not doing the what are the odds right now, but that could have been a decent prediction for the season, because right now, Astralis are 12th, right? Like ahead of them is G2, Pain, FURIA, FaZe, NAVI, Falcons, Aurora, Spirit, Mongols, Mouse, and obviously Vitality the top there. And then below them is 3D Max, which had a pretty disappointing end to the season. Legacy, obviously it's going to be tough to see them back up their major performance. Liquid also trying to get their shit together. Heroic with another rebuild. MIBR, and then Lin Vision to round up the top 20. So when you put the field in that kind of context, it feels pretty doable, I would say.
Very doable.
This is also the event where they really do have to step it up, because obviously in Cologne they're going to meet all the best teams, and so there's never a guarantee that you're going to make it far. Even if you're a good team, you just get a bad draw. One team fucks it up, and you meet two like top 5 teams in a row. That sort of thing can very quickly happen at these events. But Astralis, especially because they haven't played for 2 months, they basically only have the Astana final on their VRS, and that's carrying their ass at the moment. And so if they keep if they don't have a good result here, then don't have a good result in Cologne, they will very quickly fall out of the top 16. They're now 15, I think, on VRS. So effectively a couple of spots lower, and they're going to have to play qualifiers. They're not going to get those straight invites, all these things. So actually a lot of pressure combined with what you were talking about, that they must be really, really hungry to get back on the server, because of how long they haven't been playing.
Yeah, I think
absolutely no pressure, guys. HLTV got this.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Okay.
HLTV got
historically,
this.
they haven't been doing
We're
that
back,
great.
bros.
So
it's funny.
They're not that great under pressure, So let's see.
Funny when we talk about Danish Counter-Strike, Lucas's mic decides to work all of a sudden, isn't it?
Oh.
Okay. Should we keep jumping around?
I mean, have you seen the score in the Liquid Sashi?
Yeah, I can see it.
Whoopa.
It's also pretty quiet in the next room. So, okay. We have Perfecto. Now, I know that we already discussed this, but I think that this is still one of the stories of the event. So Perfecto back in, I guess, the upper echelons of Counter-Strike, you'd consider it.
That's a backhanded compliment to VP.
Well, they're a good team, right? They're not an elite team, but they are a good team. I think immediately it feels like a better role fit than what it was with Flammus, who they definitely neutered. He's reunited for the 3rd time with Electronic. So Navi when they were winning, the misery at Cloud9, and then this, I guess it's not a new project. It's him slotting in and hopefully being able to deliver after being out of the server consistently. He played some of those like fun lands. This one's an interesting one because VP, for whatever reason, Joe, I don't know how you feel about him. They're not really a fan favorite. People don't love VP.
I feel like people have their own reasons.
Okay.
Those are quite obvious, but I'm not going to mention any.
Fair enough. I think
I don't think Electronic has the best PR at the moment in the scene, to be honest.
I don't feel like it's just him. But I'm going to shut my mouth after this one.
Who else is not really liked in the team?
I'm not.
I think nobody else, especially like maybe outside of the Russian-speaking thing.
It's not the players. I'm not, okay, don't ask any more questions.
All right. Well, we're done with the liquid with the VP conversation, I guess. Liquid almost done too. No, but this is obviously one where if there is going to be a significant change because of the roles, you would expect to see this pretty quickly, wouldn't you, Striker? Like, I know Perfecto hasn't been playing top level Counter-Strike in a while, but he's still more of a natural fit. Do you think that the game's progressed to a point where he's still going to be able to have impact?
It's always hard to tell. It's so hard to tell when you have these guys coming back. I mean, he was trying to keep up form. You know, he was playing some of these mixes with like qualifiers, and he was like destroying people. So I guess he's still gonna be fine. But this is still a different kind of kettle of fish. You know, actually coming into competition instead of playing against sometimes very random teams in those open close qualifiers, right? So it's I honestly don't know. Who knows how he can come back to form after whatever year and something that it's been since he last played on Cloud9.
And it was such a mess in Cloud9. And that's the thing, like there was they even had Electronic Boomich, wasn't Axel there. Yeah, so it's like that team was meant to be a pretty good team, but it never really turned out. So it's just been quite a disappointing stint for a lot of those NAVI boys since that all fell apart, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it was always this or Bad Boom for Perfecto, wasn't it? It's like either one or the other side of that coin.
Where do you put this roster, JL? Do you think yes?
Perfecto was never a mechanical player. He was always a brain type of player. And I feel like you don't lose your brain most often.
Unless you have a lobotomy.
Yeah, but in his case, he didn't. So I feel like he's going to do just well. Maybe even better because he's hungrier now. Because when he was playing for NAVI, he won a lot of things. And then he moved on to Cloud9 because that's how a professional player works. And now he's back because he wants to play. I don't think he wants to not play. So maybe it's going to be even better.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I don't know if this is the missing piece. Like they've obviously been trying for a while. There was I think that Fame's been the one in probably the biggest of the dip, right? I would say. Flit still has his moments. I think Icy's slowly warming into it. The way that Electronic was with his teammates at the major was much better than he was previously throughout the season, which was quite aggressive in moments. He definitely looked like he was able to deal with that a bit better. So hopefully that carries over. But to be fair, Perfecto was used to that style back when they were on the simple Na'Vi where it was quite aggressive. So maybe that regresses in that way. Maybe Perfecto brings a bit of that himself or has to learn how to deal with that himself. So we'll have to see what happens there. But VP are still in the conversation in my mind to be a playoff team. Like the 4 teams that we've mentioned so far, you would hope making it to the playoffs with the field we have. Yeah. Does that feel like a fair statement?
Hope is fair. But expecting them to make it is a bit of a stretch, I guess.
Well, they're in
for now at least.
They're in the group with Tyloo and MIBR. Yeah, but Tyloo doesn't have G.
Oh, you mean FISSURE?
Yeah. Not
yeah, for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like tier 1 tournaments. I'm like,
oh no.
Like you're getting a bit ahead of yourself.
Yeah,
there,
no. I just mean FISSURE for sure.
For sure. Then yes.
Yeah, because it's 8-team playoff. They're in a group with MIBR, who has a new guy joining to replace Makazze called Nix. Just what we need, another Nick. There's so many Nicks, you know. And they and Tyloo, who have their coach standing in, and we don't know if G will get there in time for any of their matches. So
they're playing them first actually too. So it's kind of like one match that's kind of going to be much easier.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice little, it's a freebie, right? No AWP in the server. That's going to make things a whole lot easier. So, yeah, Astralis is the other team in that group. So I guess it's between VP and Astralis to see who's going to go through the group in first place. All right, next one. So GamerLegion, obviously there was no major qualification for them in the first half of the year, and they're going into their 3rd event in a row with a different AWPer, like a 3rd different AWPer. Obviously they had Slend in Astana. They bottled it, and I think they went 0-3. They had visa issues for Slend for Dallas, so then they used A-Core, right? Then they used A-Core, but then they made the playoffs in Dallas, which was pretty good for them as like a nice little boon before going into the break. And then now that they've had that extended break, because they didn't play the major, they've decided to bring in a French AWPer named Kersey. And for those people playing at home, he more recently played with Gen 1, which is KRL's project with like Devaduvek was there, Navarro was there, Jax, those type of guys. So I don't know anything about Kersey. Gerald, have you ever heard of this Kersey guy?
Yeah, I played faced against him. We practiced against him a couple of times.
Okay. What do you make? Like, did he stand out?
No.
Okay,
I mean,
sad.
No, it's not because he's not a good player. It's because he didn't stand out to me. But we didn't play a lot of times. Like when you play FaZe, I don't care if you drop 50. If you drop 50 against me, like fuck you. You just made me lose elo. So I'm not gonna take that in mind. But we practiced a couple of I mean, it's kind of hard to put attention to those sort of players when you're practicing. Like
Sure.
I'm there to practice my own stuff. I don't really care if you drop 40. That's practice.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's probably the mindset that we should have. It's just one of these things when, you know, some of these guys we hear about, like somebody like Donk or kyousuke with so much groundswell, and you get to see their povs from FaZe or whatever officials with the academy all the time, and you're watching it, it's like crack, and I'm scratching, I want some more, right? But with Kersey, it's like, okay, I don't know who this guy is. Right? I saw that he played with some experienced French players. I go and watch some of the demos. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, like there's a level of expectation that you'd have for a Counter-Strike player of this level. But I just wonder if like Kersey's the solution, because PR is good. Like I think Rez has come into his second wind. Like I think PR is good that next season people probably try and poach him. I think they probably try and poach him this season.
They were trying to poach him already this season, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I think ZTR as an in-game leader is doing, you know, more than a serviceable job. So no qualms or dramas or issues with him there in the in-game leadership role. So then you take a look at this and you go, okay, well, does Kersey, does he just fit in and just play system Counter-Strike, right? Does he just play what's necessary for Ash? It's hard to, like, because GamerLegion are that team. Them not making the major was one of the biggest upsets, right?
Yeah.
That was
I was expecting them to make it.
When you play, you guys play against GamerLegion, right? What, like, did they strike? No, but in practice or whatever, they just, because the way that you framed your time in Navi, you said, oh, we were like a team, right? Is that the way that you would consider GamerLegion as well?
Yeah, for sure. There's not a lot of those teams right now, but yeah, GamerLegion is one of those, and I feel like Ash is a big part of the GamerLegion success. And yeah,
so, I mean, I just want to kind of go a little bit deeper for maybe people at home when we're talking about team Counter-Strike. Like, what type of, like, because we'll use a blanket term like fundamentals, but if you were to kind of go a little bit more granular than that, like team Counter-Strike, what are you talking about exactly? Like, what are you trying to succeed at the most for team Counter-Strike to work at its best?
We rely on the team, like as in everyone knows it's his role and he just does it to his best ability. Of course, you can have a good game, you can like a rating of 2, but we don't rely on a single player to win us the game. We rely on the whole team, and if we're losing the game, then we're all fucking up in a way. Because if four of 5 puzzles are working well, you still might win the game. There's a chance to win the game, but yeah, it's just doing your role as best as you can, and we want to kind of, I don't know, suffocate the other team or outplay them in our own game.
I guess, like, yeah, because when we, like, I go the full basic level of, so you want to make sure that you're either taking space if your teammate is, you know, going for a play somewhere, right? You're making your moves, or you're trading well, or, you know, that you're like, this is where you can out macro a team, right? Like, you know, have a good idea from your prep what they're going to do, and then you stack a bomb site, or you call past their rotation. You're not relying on Donk to walk in and get 3 kills. Like, you're relying on different elements of the game, which are not as fun and flashy, unfortunately. That's kind of the sad part with Team CS. That's why it's definitely not everybody's favorite to watch. Okay, let's keep whizzing around here. I had a few more of these. Like, the 3D Max one isn't interesting. They didn't make any changes, just their coach. They showed some decent signs. Like, they were able to get wins throughout the season against teams like FaZe, G2, Eternal Fire, Mongols, Falcons, but they never had like a breakthrough moment. They always had like these disappointing losses. What do you make of a team like 3D Max, JL?
I don't know. I actually don't follow like teams beyond the top 15. I mean, it's kind of hard not to follow. They play in the same tournaments that you play, but I don't know. Like, really, I don't have an opinion. I'll be very honest. I feel like I'm happy for those teams when they're winning and they're making like deep runs in the tournaments, but I don't have an opinion. I just feel happy for them, and that's it.
Yeah, because like, what, Striker?
It was a stupid joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, you said you know?
Yes.
The coach.
That's the coach. I think that when I look at this roster, right, one of the things that I when they're good is they were playing momentum-based CS and like very shock and awe and in your face and aggressive stuff, and that's fun to watch. And then I think eventually you have to be able to move away from that and be a little bit more defaulty. I think they're maybe in that transition period of trying to do that now, which is going to hurt them in the short term, but be beneficial for them in the long term if they can ever break through that. Because I think it's fine to get these upset victories and have some momentum-based wins, but you need to be consistently doing it to break through, right? That's what makes the difference. And I don't think that they're there yet. So I don't expect too much to change for them coming out of this break. I think it's going to just be more of the same. Like they can beat most teams, but I don't expect them to consistently be beating everybody. So that's pretty sad. But next one I've got here is Heroic with another rebuild. So this team persistently gets pilfered. Right, they get their players taken away from them, and look, they make a lot of money for it, so that's fine, right? They turn it into a good business model. But to rebuild, they took a player they already had on the bench of Nilo, who was showing promise, but then at the start of the year didn't work out. But they got Tania, which did work out, so that's a great find.
Yes,
they took the coach and the AWPer of Saw and SunPayus. Sorry, they lost those. They took a coach from MATYS NXT, which is Tobiz, who we touched on before that he was coaching MATYS NXT since like 2022. So he knows what it's like with a young team, and this is a young team as well. And then they took the punt striker, which you were saying you thought someone would try and get Grix. Like Grix looked like he had he was like the next up to bat for the AWPers, right? Is that a fair surmise?
Yeah, 100%. I think he was. I would be surprised if he didn't have more offers on his table, to be honest.
But this roster coming together is just another rebuild, so it's kind of tough. Like, sure, they keep the core. Now they have a Swedish flag, right? Heroic with a Swedish flag. So, but I don't know. Like, you're just starting again. It's so hard to get excited for them because they essentially, in my mind, start again. Even though Tania, Youngster, LNZ are still all there, it's like new coach, new AWPer, kid off the bench we haven't seen play officials in a while. Like, I don't know what to say about a team like this. Does anybody have anything they want to say about Heroic?
It's just I was looking at when I was looking at how this works, it just made me a bit confused about what their aim is with Nilo coming in, because they get rid of xCloud, right? Basically to make space for this move. Whether that was because xCloud had a different offer, I don't know. But it is a completely different player. I mean, Nilo is more of a passive lurker. He has some active positions on CT, but like compared to xCloud, he's nowhere near as aggressive. And they don't really have like that sort of a piece anymore. I don't know if it's going to come from maybe Tania getting more active because he can get if he wants to, or Youngstar, who apparently is this like very versatile piece. But it's definitely not going to come from Nilo, who's just not, or at least he has never shown that in the past, that he's like has capability to be in a lot of aggressive spots. So that's the one that was just couldn't really work out how they can work together.
I guess they're just working with what they already had, though, right? Like they bought the kid, so I guess
might as well use him.
Yeah, give it a swing, see what happens. Sure. All right, I'm going to fly through these last couple that I have because they're quite short. And you guys jump in because I can't see. I'm on my laptop, so I can't see it while I'm talking. So if I say something and you want to jump in, just start talking and I'll shut the fuck up.
Okay.
So Lin Vision and Tai Lu, now it's no longer Tai Lu, so it's just Lin Vision because of the whole G situation. They're looking to kind of keep the form or have another strong showing from the major because Chinese Counter-Strike was really fun to watch. I don't think we'll get it in the same like endearing way that we had with the G and Amelia personalities, but they still need to back it up and play good Counter-Strike again. And Rare Adam is also in attendance. So there's 3 Chinese teams there. So it'd be great to get at least one of the 3 into the playoffs. We've got Cole, who get to play with Hausuk again, which is good. Big, who continue to tread water. They have a new coach. They got Scrunk in their coaching now. BetBoom are going to try Art Frost instead of Zorti. Wildcard have brought in Peeping and Fend, who they'd used before as a stand-in. Friend, who they'd used before as a stand-in Polish guy on the AWP, and then Saw are just fucking confused. So that's essentially it. I don't bother with MIBR. They're MIBR. So
this wildcard thing is also coming with Sonic taking game leadership, apparently. So that's a whole that's another angle.
Someone had to do it, I guess.
Someone had to do it. Yeah,
kind of the oldest there. Yeah. So that I guess the wildcard one is the more interesting of the bunch, really, of all of those. Like, it's good that we'll get to see Cole at full force because I think at the major that's not a representation of the team. Like, it's no offense. Again, it's not to undervalue Junior. It's meant to talk about the amount of value I put into a player like Hausuk. I think he's very good. Big and Saw, these national teams that I guess they're just going to have to be happy with just being mid. Because Saw went from being Portuguese to international to back to being Portuguese again. So it seems like a long time since we had them playing well. And then BetBoom with Art Frost, it's just like the lower rungs of Russian Counter-Strike. You know, who can they get lucky and maybe pick up a good player that Overdrive doesn't put in Spirit Academy? That's essentially it. So just returning, I guess, to the overall event, which we may as well do here. We had our front runners. Let's just run through these groups and let's just talk about who we think is going to make it through. We'll just take a blind stab in the dark. So Group A, FURIA, GamerLegion, Wildcard, Saw. Joe, who are the top two teams going through there?
Top one, FURIA, for sure.
Okay.
And, okay, it's between now, for me. Wait, actually. Yeah, for me, it's between GamerLegion and Wildcard. I actually don't think Saw is going to make through this one. No offense.
Okay. I think that's fair. Like I think it, like for me, it's a GamerLegion FURIA lock. Like I can't see this wild card doing anything.
Okay, fair.
3D Max, Pain, Linvision, Rare Atom. This is a tough one, I think. Like
I would throw a punt to Pain and Linvision.
But I think these are the type of teams that 3D Max can beat.
Didn't they lose the last time they played Linvision? Am I crazy?
Maybe. Well, it could have been a best of one on Inferno.
No, they didn't play each other. That was maybe a different Asian team.
Wait.
Don't know.
Fissure's $1 million prize pool.
Yeah. It's a proper tournament. It's even got the club share going on. Yeah.
Yo.
It's going to mean a lot for these teams, right? This is why like it actually has a lot of ramifications for the VRS.
It's in the club share. Never mind. First is 150K. Sorry, I thought it was going to be like 500 for first.
Okay. You wanted to see more top heavy. Do you think tournaments should be like that? If it's $1 million prize pool, should first place just be 500K?
I mean, the club share is nice because you kind of get more prize money if you lose earlier. Like third, fourth is 35K prize, but then 70K club share. But do players get a percent of the club share? I don't think so.
It depends on the structure that the players have with the odds. Yeah.
You're the one with the contract.
I don't know. I don't know. They just send me money and I take it. So
that's a nice
good way to go about
it. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. So what do you reckon? You were going with Pain and Linvision there, Striker, right?
Yeah. No, just fuck it. I honestly don't know. I mean, predictions.
That feels pretty. Yeah, well, predictions. This is one of the things. It's the first event of the season, so we're just having to stab in the dark. We're probably going to be wrong on half of this. I think Group C, we discussed it before. It's most likely going to be VP Astralis because of the G issue, and then Group D is Heroic, Complexity, Big, and Bet Boom.
For me, Big is out of it.
Okay, that's fair. I haven't really been doing anything.
I don't know. Bet Boom could be a wild card. But not like the actual wild card, but like a wild card of a team.
I think Axel is just playing so poorly, man. Like
I honestly thought he would get kicked by now.
Yeah, it's just
kind of crazy.
It's so poor, like his output. This was in stage 2 of the major. 13-4 loss to 3D Max, 13-9 loss to Heroic, and then a 2-0 loss to MIBR. And that's like, Axel, the lowest rated player in that 2-0 loss. And he had a 0.75 rating. It's like my stats. Like that fall off needs to be studied, man. I just don't understand. For someone that's so mechanical, and it's just not doing it, man. Not doing it at all.
Also, he's 23 years old. I thought he was like 30.
Yeah.
Exile?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when you're playing Gambit youngsters. You know, you're playing a lot of online Counter-Strike going on. It's kind of sad what's going on there. But okay, so that's FISSURE. That's a bit of a preview of what to expect. Is there anything that we've kind of missed off the list here? We didn't talk about Vitality and Mouse and Mongols because there wasn't really any need. Like they're going to be in Cologne. Aurora are going to have XFAD standing in for Zentaras at Cologne, which is kind of interesting. I don't know do we know what's wrong with Zentaras?
The official reason is family reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is what it is. That's kind of sad.
I don't want to question that until I have more information because what's flying around the team.
True. Yeah. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Like there's nothing else crazy to talk about yet until matches happening. I think Liquid did just lose to Sashi, so that's them out of the Pro League qualifier.
That is bad.
Yeah, that's not a good start.
But do you have more time for practice?
That's true. Yeah.
That's what Flash is saying to them right now, guys. Don't worry. It's fine. We have more time for practice. No need to play officials. We don't need a lot of pressure on our shoulders. Let's just play the game. I'll show you some good strats.
How much of a conversation throughout the season, though, JL, was the VRS and where you guys would kind of qualify for the major? Was that a big focus, or did the org just
Yeah,
it
was a focus. Yeah. I mean, not qualifying as a. I still call them legends, but what is it, stage 3 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important. I mean, first of all, financially wise, for the org and for us, it's a big increase of pay. I'm not sure what the stage 1 and 2s are getting, but stage 3s are where most of the money is.
It's been that historically. Yeah.
Actually, not that much. Now it's very top heavy.
Yeah, but I know Paris was very heavy overall, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, right? Obviously, being around the other big teams is going to generate more revenue overall there. It's one of the things that we discuss a lot on this show is about the strategy around the events that you decide to attend or not attend, right? Like, and I guess you guys weren't in the strongest position where you could choose to skip a lot of events. But one of the mindsets that I talk about is that teams need to pick events that they're going to that they are like focused of doing like well, like a top 8 or a top 4 finish. You know, was that kind of the conference to say, if we go to this event, guys, we have to place well, or is that just the focus of every event anyway? Because you could
That's the focus of every event. I mean,
I think it was like a prac event.
Top 8 for a goal is kind of crazy. Like,
you think it's a bit low?
Bad.
Very low, very low. I mean, if I'm going to a tournament and my sole goal is to get top 8, I'm gonna rethink my career. I'm not gonna lie, but
I think you already have, mate.
Yes, but I never thought I want to play top 8. For me, it's either winning or not winning. When people said, "Oh, let's get to the playoffs," I mean, it's nice if you're a team that's not working as hard as we did. But if you're putting so many hours and you're sacrificing so much, at least you have to play for the trophy. That's the least you can do.
All right, can I ask a couple of questions then? Because like the way that I would look at it is an event like Bounty, which was the first event of last season. It's kind of a soft entry because it starts online. So when like for me,
that's the only tournament you can feel of. Just let's see where our flaws are and let's fix them for the next tournament. That's the only reason I could agree.
Because then the next pit stop along the line would have been like Astana for you guys. It's like you go to Astana, it's like, okay, well, Spirit's the best team there, and then otherwise, I think you guys would have been in the conversation as one of the other like top 3 or 4 teams in Astana. But it's the first event before the major. Oh, so sorry, it's your last event before the major is how I should have framed that. So do you go into an event like that going, all right, guys, we just want to make sure like we're a well-oiled machine and everything is kind of functioning at a high level, but it doesn't matter if we don't win? But you still set the goal of like a top 4 or, you know, or winning the trophy? Or is it not, you didn't really set those goals as a team, or how did that work?
I don't feel like you set goals. I mean, you can talk about them for sure, but kind of hard. Hard to put it in words, but like having as many maps as you can going before the major is probably the best way you can, because that's when you can really analyze your game. Practice is not the same as officials, and if we manage to get like 15 maps per tournament and you've played like every single map, that's really good coming into the major, because then you can change and adapt for the major, and people are not going to see the maps that you've worked on. But yeah, I feel like you still play for the win, but you're kind of more open to play around with the map a little bit. But that's only my opinion.
We still have to do the Anthros fix your sit, don't we? Fuck. we got to do that before we finish the show. I guess I have to make something up right now. Look, let's do something here, Lucas. Shall we? Let me write a little thing here, because I was trying to think about. Normally with this, we're looking for gripes. So this is one of the segments on the show we do, Joe, where normally we go on a bit of a spiel about something that should be fixed or looked at or whatever within the community. So I have to decide what I'm going to do right this second for it. And let's see how this comes out, because, you know, I hadn't really thought of anything that upsets me too much.
I have a very stupid one, but I mean, I can give you some time at least for you to just think about things.
So this is where I'm going to go with it, right? So today is the 14th of July. The major has been over for 3 weeks at this point, and we are about to have the end of the Premier season, which we're going to go into season 3. Now, I think people are going to sit there and they're going to go, what relevance does this have with professional Counter-Strike? Well, it's quite clear that Valve want the game to be in line with what people are playing at home as to what people are playing at the majors, right? That's why we moved away from 128 tick and 64 tick. We're all on the same thing now. The map pools are the same. The settings are the same as they would be in Prem. The amount of timeouts are the same. Obviously, the overtime rule is a little bit different. But otherwise, there's a lot of mirroring between what the average player at home is playing, plus the cheating epidemic, as to what the professionals on LAN are playing. And there's that nice, I don't want to say focus, but symmetry there. And I think that one of the issues that I have with this is, let's say, I'm going to make just a crazy, bold, hypothetical prediction that today the season ends and Valve decide today that the next Premier season is going to have a map pool change. And let's say they take out, I don't know what map, let's say Anubis, let's say Inferno, whatever. They take out one of those two maps and they add in a map that they have ready to go. let's just go with Overpass, right? And Overpass comes in, but FISSURE are obviously not going to use Overpass. And then that means there's a week worth of practice before Cologne being the first big event of the season to ESL go, okay, we're going to use Overpass, but it only gives teams a week worth of practice. So my problem here is one that I understand that the Valve devs are at the office, at the major, at least most of the majors. There's 4 to 5 of them, but in Austin there was many more of them because they were all in America, so they could all be there. So it's kind of unrealistic to ask them as soon as the major ends, like the Monday after, okay, end the season now. But maybe within that first week of post major, if they are going to end the seasons in line with the major, do it after the first week. Like, give people what major ends. Okay, you have this last week to get your rank, so you get your little badge. And then at the end of that following week, once it's a week since the grand final, the Premier season will end and the next season starts, and we do a map pool change. So I am doing a preemptive fix your sit, which may or may not happen if Valve decide to change the map pool tonight. So there you go. Does that work, Striker? Did I get there at the end?
I think you got there. Yeah,
it might age very well. So we all get to find out tonight. I'm making hypotheticals, making crazy predictions. I got no idea, but it may age very well. Look, so I guess we can open up the conversation from here. Jail, you reckon a map change every season is like, especially if it's known maps? Like, so let's say this time Overpass comes back in. Next time, I don't know, Cash comes in or whatever. Who the fuck knows? But they're maps that are kind of known. Do you think a new map every 6 months is good? Too much? Not enough?
100%. It has to be like a map change every single season. For me, there's no other way around it. Like, that's a little bit boring as a pro player to kind of play the same map over and over again. Of course, you can never have a perfect map, but change the maps. God damn it! Like the major ended, 1 week goes by. Like, why even wait a week? Wait 3 days and just change a map. Like, you don't really have to work on it to be a perfect map. Like, have the rotation, like remove Vertigo, put in Overpass, and the next season, I don't know, remove Overpass, add in Cash, and the next season remove Train, add in Cobblestone. Like, not next week, I mean after the season ends, but
yeah,
like for me that should be like a default. That should be default 100%. Like, it's not really that hard, or am I missing something?
Well, so the reason that I gave them a week is because they would have all, especially the main devs, and I call them the main devs, they're just the devs that listen to Striker or have the meetings with the tournament organizers. Those guys, you know, to expect them to go back and do it immediately, but you'd imagine that there's a team that
but there's like planning going on, right? Well, you have to plan for those sort of things. Or does the major end and you're like,
so yes.
Like, does the major end and you're like, okay, what should we change the next week?
How much can I say here?
I'll tell you one thing. Valve work in a way where when things are ready, they are ready, you know, and they're like, you know, they're not necessarily ones to set like a very specific date for something, you know.
I don't want to throw them under a bus because people would just take it as a negative thing, but they do a lot of stuff as committee in their company. So some of these decisions that you think may have already been made may very well have not been made. And if you also think about it, when they go to the majors, they're having conversations with tournament organizers, with teams, with players, if players would like to talk to them, with members. Well, this I could tell everybody, mate. Next, if you're in Budapest, then you should definitely go and have a chat to them.
How do I find one? Do they have like a t-shirt
or whatever? Just ask me or Chad. We'll send you the right way.
Or send a DM to their Twitter account.
Yeah, it's probably gonna work.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah, because so here's this. I don't know. I'm not giving away too. I'm not going to say names here, Striker. The guy who runs the Twitter account doesn't really run the Twitter account. He's just one of the devs. He's not like a social media guy. He's just a dev.
Really?
I say just a dev. He's a very nice man.
I actually know.
I like him. But
can you message which one is that?
Yeah, I could
say his name out loud, bro.
No, I'll type it in.
But I don't know if I know him, to be honest. This guy, maybe I don't even know.
He's not one of the regulars.
Okay, then probably I don't know him.
So you probably don't know. But yeah, anyway, we're waffling on right now.
Okay,
but
I don't know him.
Okay, cool. I think I did it. I think I did fix your sit. I think I did it. I nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Add a new map right now.
Look, tonight, don't go to bed.
Now,
I don't promise you that there'll be a new map tonight. So you know. Listen to that as you will.
Never mind.
Yeah,
I had a question towards Valve devs, but never mind.
Look, again, like they actually are very happy to talk to players. Just players don't actually come to them a lot.
I never knew they existed. I thought they were locked away somewhere.
Yeah,
I've never seen a Valve employee in my life.
Every major, they are there.
I didn't know what to say to this stuff. I actually wanted to ask a sincere question. No hate intended. Maybe someone can answer. Maybe the Twitter account can answer. But why did it take them so long for them to make the trophy and like just release it? It cannot be a hard, look, but I'm serious, no hate, but it cannot be a hard thing.
The in-game thing, yeah,
Yes,
I don't know.
Like it cannot be hard.
I can't talk.
Was it a decision to like change the trophy and then add it to the inventory? But it took them a couple of months. Like it's not hard. Like any graphics designer could just hop on it and do it, and then they just release it and put it in the inventory. They made a hell of a good trophy, but it cannot take that long to make a trophy.
Maybe they were trolling you.
You shouldn't have outed yourself like that. That was going to be your question. I think now they're going to hide from you.
No, but okay, maybe that's a bad question, but I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, we don't know.
I think with Valve, all good things come in time. You know, that's kind of things operate. It's do you know, like, have you heard of island time?
No.
So in places where it's quite hot or quite remote and it's smaller, everything's a bit more relaxed, a bit more chill. You know, things happen slower. Island time. You know, that's kind of what Valve. They're kind of. I think they're on like Hawaii time all the time. You know, they're just. I honestly don't know. I couldn't answer that question for you whatsoever. But
no hate. Maybe they really have a reason for it, or maybe they just didn't decide on the trophy they want to release. But
well, they are a small indie company, so
yeah.
So
Very small indie, the smallest of the companies I've ever seen.
All right. Let's wind this one up for the evening. Is there any other topics that we want to discuss here before we get out of here, gentlemen?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? I was reading what my brother Lucas typed.
Got distracted.
I was merely asking: is there anything that you guys want to discuss, or any topics that we've missed here for the evening? Anything that we want to touch upon?
I feel like we had a really long chat. I'm really surprised we got to 2.5 hours.
It goes quick. It goes quick.
Here, yeah.
Kind of just flies by. Well, I guess we can just close it down then. So, JL, the future, what's coming up? Some drifting, some streaming, some content, some doing a bit of, you could say kickboxing. You know, I guess if people want to find you, where should they look for you?
At JLCS2 on YouTube. And Instagram, you'll see it somewhere. It's under the YouTube comment link. Just make sure you're subbed on YouTube.
Okay. Simple as that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's pretty easy. So we'll be back.
I think Monday as well.
Week. I have to travel Monday unless we do it during the day. I have to go to
Tuesday.
Cologne. So we could maybe do Monday during the day. But next week's Cologne. Tomorrow is Fisher. We'll have another conversation tomorrow. We might do another time capture with Prof next week when he gets back from vacation. Thanks to JL for joining us. Look forward to seeing your content. Say hi to Owner Pixel for us, the part-time streamer. And shout out to our sponsors, SkinPlace, as well as Anthros. That's another episode of HLTV Confirmed. Good night.
Sell in-game items at the best prices in just a couple of clicks. We are the biggest instant sell service for in-game items like Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, and Rust. Easy selling process and instant withdrawal of funds to the most popular payment methods. More than 140,000 deals and 50,000 active sellers every month. Use promo code HLTV5 and get a 5% bonus on the sale of your skins. SkinPlace. Sell items now.
When every move counts, your chair shouldn't hold you back. Top esports players are switching to Anthros for unbeatable support and performance that keeps them in the game longer. Designed to support your unique shape and built with medical-grade components, Anthros is setting a new standard for comfort. Check out the Anthros difference today and get ready to fix your sit, because gaming deserves more than just a chair.